But in the eyes of the old woman who had gotten used to a small hut, this house was too large, almost like a small villa. In the past, such a house would have housed dozens of people, all crammed together with no personal privacy at all. She never imagined that one day her family would own their own house, which brought tears to her eyes. Her husband and son were both cultivators, but last time, to protect everyone, they died at the hands of Dao Palace, leaving her and her daughter-in-law to raise 2 children who were not yet 10 years old. They too never expected to have their own home one day. "Grandma, there's a bathroom. There's a private bathroom inside the house. Wow, it's so clean. There's even a lid. No more waiting in line at the east side of the city," a little girl excitedly shouted as she ran out from the house. "Our family has one too, my goodness. Human King, have you arranged for every household to have a bathroom?" Uncle Lu, leaning on a crutch, said, overwhelmed with joy. For him, who lost a leg, this was great news indeed. No more hobbling for half an hour to relieve himself at the city east bathroom. "Yes, this is the most basic living facility, and then, about your leg." Xiang Beifei walked over and saw Uncle Lu's severed leg. He stretched out his hand, and the return to the original power drifted over and landed on him, making the severed leg slowly begin to grow back. "My leg! My leg!" Uncle Lu was amazed to see his severed thigh growing back, exactly the same as before, and he was utterly incredulous. "Is this real? Is this real?" Uncle Lu fiercely pinched his newly grown leg to check if it was real, and quickly grimaced, repeatedly shouting excitedly, "It's a real leg! It hurts! It hurts! Ha ha!" He was overjoyed, worried he was dreaming, kept pinching his thigh multiple times, wincing from the pain but couldn't stop laughing. Thank you, Human King. You are truly our lucky star." Uncle Lu was about to kneel down to Xiang Beifei to thank him. Xiang Beifei immediately supported him and said, "No need, since I'm here. You can bring up any difficulties you face, be it injuries or hidden illnesses, or any needs in life. Come to me. I will first settle everyone down, then," he flashed a sharp look, "return tenfold the Dao Palace's deeds to the human race." Everyone was extremely indignant upon hearing about Dao Palace, as many of their relatives had died at Dao Palace's hands, and those who could fight had gone to the battlefield, leaving mostly the elderly, the weak, sick, and handicapped behind. Xiang Beifei's words seemed to ignite the fighting spirit in everyone's hearts. "Yes, we must demand repayment for this debt. We pledge to follow the Human King to the death." Many raised their arms and shouted. Xiang Beifei's abilities left a deep impression on everyone, able to build this magical city and help everyone recover physically, truly bowing to him. Luo Shanyu had been assisting Xiang Beifei these past few days, seeing him handle everything meticulously, finally relieving Luo Shanyu. At least this child is truly helping the human race, not just saying it, taking care of almost every detail. "You are very different from other highly talented individuals," said Luo Shanyu. "Oh? What does Uncle Luo think highly talented individuals should be like?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Any genius in the edge corner airspace is pampered, not understanding these trivialities in life so thoroughly. Most of their time is spent on cultivation, minor tasks are handled by others, going out they are served by various servants," said Luo Shanyu. "Honestly, I would love to be pampered too, just don't have the conditions." Xiang Beifei shrugged. Luo Shanyu curiously asked, "You must be a genius in Juzhou? Didn't Luo Yunxian treat you as a treasure?" "He treated me as a treasure, but perhaps he thought, the treasure needs to be honed to become a tool, so he constantly devised ways to challenge me. If he could get me, he would be happy." Xiang Beifei sighed. "That's his way." Luo Shanyu's lips curled into a slight smile. "Hey, Uncle Luo can actually smile." Xiang Beifei just realized in so many days, it was his first time seeing Luo Shanyu smile. Every day Luo Shanyu was stern-faced, extremely serious, with a constant gloom between his brows, looking like he'll never smile. "I'm human, why wouldn't I smile?" Luo Shanyu immediately concealed his smile, becoming serious again. But the gloom between his brows was gone. Li Qianluo giggled and interjected. The burden of the human race used to weigh heavily on Uncle Luo. How would he smile? But now that you have shared the pressure of the human race from him, this is a comforting smile. Xiang Beifei was enlightened. Couldn't help but curiously ask, Uncle Luo, may I ask, what system did you awaken? He always wondered if Luo Shanyu awakened a system related to seriousness or restraint. Why ask this? My master's awakened system is quite special. As long as he does various things to keep himself in a good mood, he can become stronger, but Uncle Luo always feels opposite. Could his system involve doing things that frustrate himself? Frustrate? Luo Shanyu almost burst into laughter from anger. He snorted, What relation does awakening a system have? I have already cut off that path, switched to the human Tao, past cultivation doesn't matter anymore. All right then. Xiang Beifei didn't ask any more. After securing residence for the human race, he must think about how to solve food problems. Food is very scarce here, no water and soil, unable to grow crops, can't be self-sufficient. Fortunately, the matter of crops is quite simple now. Given Era's ability to accelerate the growth of various plants, various vegetables are convenient. However, accelerating vegetable growth consumes a huge amount of spiritual power. Era can manage in the short term, but over time the burden is heavy, given the need to feed a large population. At the same time, Xiang Beifei also considers that they can't always eat vegetables. The tribe's many children are growing and need to eat some meat, which requires exchanging some meat from the cities or seeking some desolate beast gatherings to hunt, bringing back livestock for breeding. We will assign some people with self-defense capabilities to mix into other tribes, serving as workers, earning breath soil, then exchanging breath soil for food. We will also take risks searching various dangerous zones for precious treasures to auction, or work in some shops as chores, but actually we have very few available manpower because the strength isn't enough to reach the heavenly connection realm. It's easy to expose oneself going out. So sustaining these people is difficult, said Luo Shanyu. All right, I understand. I will handle such matters in the future, said Xiang Beifei. At this moment, a figure rapidly fell from the sky towards them. Taking a closer look, it was Duan Gaian. Human King, Elder Luo, other elders are here. They said they want to meet the Human King first. Duan Gaian hesitated for a moment, seemed to want to say something but held back. Then let's meet them. I also want to discuss transferring humans here, Xiang Beifei said. Luo Shanyu slightly frowned, said, Wait, Beifei, I must clarify one thing with you. What is it? Xiang Beifei asked. Luo Shanyu hesitated, said, Our human race was divided into 5 places. I can make decisions for the people here, but for the other 4 areas I can't make decisions. Especially, ever since your father suddenly disappeared without saying goodbye and was involved in an incident. Not only did it break everyone's belief but also made many, how should I say, extremely resentful, now knowing you are Xiang Tianqing's son. They may not easily accept you as Human King. So, recently, several elders jointly elected a new Human King, except me who didn't agree. Choosing a new Human King? This was something Xiang Beifei had not expected. In such a situation, wouldn't it be good if they chose a Human King? Why does Sherwood disagree? Xiang Beifei asked. In his view, whether there was a Human King or not was not particularly important. It was just a title. As long as all of the human race were united, it didn't matter who was the king. However, Luo Shanyu firmly said, Not just anyone is qualified to be the Human King. Xiang Beifei asked curiously, Then why do you think I'm qualified? Luo Shanyu's expression was extremely serious. He calmly said, The Human King is not only the leader of the human race but also represents the future. A person who cannot show the human race a future cannot be the Human King. After a pause, Luo Shanyu continued, I can see the future from you. I cannot see it from him. When Xiang Beifei renovated the entire city with Jianmu and settled over 3,000 people in recent days, Luo Shanyu had concluded that Xiang Beifei was the future of the human race. Xiang Beifei asked, Who is the person they want to nominate, and what is his cultivation level? Luo Shanyu said solemnly, That person is the currently most powerful individual in our human race, named Fu Yuzi, who is in the Ascension Realm. The Ascension Realm? Xiang Beifei said in surprise. Yes, ever since 2 years ago, when another elder in the Ascension realm, Taoist Heian, perished together with the Tao Palace Masters in order to protect our race while retreating from the fortress. Fu Yuzi has been the only remaining expert in the Ascension realm among our human race, Luo Shanyu said. Letting him be the king isn't bad either, after all, he is very powerful. Xiang Beifei didn't particularly like to pursue such empty titles. He just wanted to do his own thing and settle the human race first. As for the Ascension realm, he could reach that level, but it would take time. However, Luo Shanyu insisted firmly, the human king must be you. Sherbua has given me a difficult problem. I don't have the advantage in terms of strength. Xiang Beifei laughed. I don't think you can't beat him, Luo Shanyu said. Sherbua should know that I am only in the mid-inquiry Tao realm, right? Xiang Beifei said. You walked out from the ruins of Rushu, and he didn't. I was lucky. Luck wouldn't let a person in the late immortal stage break through to the inquiry Tao realm and walk out alive from the ruins of Rushu. Luo Shanyu always had an inexplicable confidence in Xiang Beifei. I believe you won't dishonor his name. Who? You know who I'm talking about, Luo Shanyu said. When I used to study with him in Juzhou, he always fought others beyond his realm, knocking them down with one punch. Xiang Beifei laughed. The leisure system of Luo Yunxian was always quite special. His system could redistribute points, and sometimes, when all the points were added to strength, no one could withstand his punch. But he still shook his head. Even if I could fight, I don't want to fight him. The human race's situation was already so difficult. Internal conflict was completely unnecessary. The hardest punches are aimed outward. Fighting internally until one loses life would only lead to grave loss. Let's meet the person first. Luo Shanyu took a deep look at Xiang Beifei and said nothing more, just turned around and leapt into the air. Xiang Beifei also got up to follow. I'm coming too. I'm coming too. I've got your back. Li Qianluo cheerfully clung to Xiang Beifei's back. Luo Shanyu didn't object, having already considered Li Qianluo one of his own. Though this matter was an internal affair of the human race, Li Qianluo was somewhat special. They quickly left the human race's city and came into the void. Why don't we let them come in? Why do we have to go out? Xiang Beifei asked. If the leaders of each stronghold need to discuss matters, it must be in the void. This is the safest way, mainly because the Elder Council discussions are very important, and the Tao Palace has been seizing opportunities. If spies were to infiltrate, the stronghold would be at risk. Therefore, meetings are held in the void far from human strongholds. If the Tao Palace takes aim, everyone can escape on their own without much concern, Duan Gaiyan explained. They flew fast for half an hour before Duan Gaiyan stopped, sending a spiritual power into the void. A powerful divine sense spread through the void, landing on the four of them. After confirming, the formation in the void dispersed. In front of them, figures were already standing in the void waiting for him. They didn't use breath soil but rather blood wood to resist the void's power. There were a total of 15 people. Different numbers came from different strongholds. Under normal circumstances, when discussing significant matters for the human race, at most 2 representatives from a stronghold would be sent, but due to Xiang Beifei's special identity, more had shown up this time. When they saw Luo Shanyu, they nodded slightly, glanced over Duan Gaiyan, stayed on Li Qianluo for a moment longer, but everyone seemed to recognize Li Qianluo and said nothing, finally shifting their gaze to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei was under the scrutiny of 15 gazes, with various strong perceptions and pressures bearing down on him. As for the emotions of the gaze owners, Xiang Beifei could easily discern them because he could use Long Guoqing's spotlight system to clearly analyze the meaning behind each gaze. 3 were filled with deep anger, 4 with hostility, 5 with hope, 1 with confusion, 1 serene, and 1 surprised. Among the 15, it seemed only 7 carried unfriendly gazes. The situation wasn't too bad. Xiang Beifei let his gaze fall onto the most prominent person in the crowd. An elderly man with white hair and beard, sporting a simple bone hairpin holding his Dao top knot. Clad in a gray Dao robe, his aura steady. Although not intentionally remarkable, his presence stood out in the crowd. No need to even think, it's obvious that this is Fu Yuzi, the only remaining elder of the Ascension realm within the human race. Fu Yuzi, whose real name is Zhongyu, is usually referred to as Elder Zhong by those who are close to him. Fu Yuzi is just his Taoist title. But to Xiang Beifei's surprise, Fu Yuzi's gaze wasn't directed with anger and hostility at some of those people, but at someone with a calm demeanor. Although the other party tried hard to exhibit a sense of coldness, Xiang Beifei could perceive that the coldness wasn't pure, and it didn't carry even a shred of hostility. Something seems off. Normally, since Fu Yuzi was endorsed as the new generation's human king, he should harbor the deepest hostility towards someone like Xiang Beifei who just arrived and threatened to seize the throne. Shouldn't he? Yet strangely, the one who harbored the greatest hostility towards Xiang Beifei wasn't the most powerful. Fu Yuzi. Luo Shanyu spoke up. I hope the elders have been well. Today, without further pleasantries, we've gathered here because of Xiang Beifei, the son of the previous human king, who recently arrived here from Zhuzhou. As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man, pale yet with a cold and stern demeanor, strong and robust, spoke up. Luo Shanyu, I know what you're plotting, but I've already told you, from Taoist Qingde to Xiang Tianqing, and now to Xiang Beifei, I've lost all hope in their family. If you want him to be the human king, I'm the first to oppose. This man is named Chu Jun with a cultivation level in the early inquiring Dao stage. On the way there, Duan Gaian had already informed Xiang Beifei about the elders in attendance and told him how to identify them by their clothing and appearance to prevent Xiang Beifei from being at a disadvantage by not knowing them. Chu Jun's discontent with Xiang Tianqing stems from his excessive trust in Taoist Qingde and an over-reliance on Xiang Tianqing. Ultimately, when Taoist Qingde vanished, leaving everything leaderless, his wife got ambushed and killed by the Dao Palace during a mission shortly afterward. Then, when Xiang Tianqing suddenly disappeared and his life flame extinguished, his convictions shattered once more. Coincidentally, his son was also targeted and killed by the Dao Palace. He blames this pair of father and son for everything. Now that Xiang Beifei has appeared, he can no longer choose to believe, so he strongly opposes him. That's right, what they brought us was not any kind of future, but rather led us into an abyss. We've experienced 2 disappointments already and don't want a third. Another exceptionally sharp and beautiful woman also coldly declared. This woman is named Shen Xinshui, with an early-stage inquiring Dao cultivation. Her experience in some ways mirrors Chu Jun's. Blind trust led to a collapse she couldn't face, resulting in immense resentment towards Xiang Beifei. When these 2 spoke up, the remaining 5 who held hostility towards Xiang Beifei also expressed their stance. None of them desired Xiang Beifei to lead the human race. Chu Jun spoke up. Duan Gaian already explained to us, in terms of strength, you don't even compare to Elder Fu Yuzi. In terms of prestige, Elder Fu Yuzi has extremely high reverence within the human race. In terms of merit, Elder Fu Yuzi has repeatedly saved the human race in times of crisis. He is far more qualified to be our human king. He is the one the people truly wish for. All 7 of them stood beside Fu Yuzi, upholding Fu Yuzi as their new leader. Fu Yuzi also gazed at Xiang Beifei, but perhaps due to the support of others, his previously calm gaze turned somewhat sharp. Are you Xiang Beifei? Fu Yuzi asked. Yes, Junior Xiang Beifei. Greetings to Senior Fu Yuzi. Xiang Beifei cupped his fists. No matter what, this is one of the most powerful individuals within the human race, a cornerstone in guarding the human race, so the required respect must be given. However, Fu Yuzi didn't appreciate this, stating, You don't need to talk qualifications with me. Today, you came for the position of human king, so there's no need to worry about seniority. The position of human king should be taken by those with the capability. Your grandfather, your father, they have all disappointed everyone greatly. We won't harbor any illusions about you. His gaze was still filled with coldness. Luo Shanyu responded deeply, Fu Yuzi, don't forget, the human king is someone who brings hope and a future for everyone. What hope can you bring to the human race? At the very least, I'm striving hard to survive for the human race, always working tirelessly for the rise of the human race, genuinely doing things for the human race. And their family? Each one only looking after their own interests. Taoist Qingde and Xiang Tianqing, as human kings, what hope did they truly bring us? Fu Yuzi raised his voice. That's right. Elder Fu Yuzi speaks the truth. Their family never gave us hope. It feels like they are continuously toying with us. And now we're still in deep trouble, unable to break free. They aren't worthy of inheriting the name of the human king anymore, Chu Jun said, filled with righteous indignation. From the other side, Shun Xinshui also sternly shouted at Xiang Beifei. You even got Weiho Tiger killed. Do you know who Weiho Tiger is? Xiang Beifei frowned, slightly shaking his head. I don't know. Humph. Of course you don't know. Let me tell you, Weiho Tiger, who burned his own spirit for you, was none other than Fu Yuzi's son. Shin Xinshui's voice rose a few pitches, becoming extremely angry. Xiang Beifei was stunned and looked towards Fu Yuzi. Fu Yuzi wore a grim expression, clenching his fists. Regarding the matter of Taoist Weihua, I am truly sorry. Xiang Beifei indeed felt guilty. But Luo Shanyu shouted, Weiho Tiger made his choice. He died for the human king. That was a choice he should have been prepared for when accepting his role. The prerequisite must be the human king. But we do not recognize this Xiang Beifei's identity. The death of the Weihua Tiger is meaningless. Chu Jun's gaze remained hostile towards Xiang Beifei. Chu Jun, watch your words. No one's death is meaningless. Whether Xiang Beifei is the human king or not, at least Weihua Tiger was willing to sacrifice for him, which proves Weihua Tiger recognized Xiang Beifei. His sacrifice is not something you can erase with a single sentence. Luo Shanyu retorted angrily. Is that so? Then tell Elder Fu Yuzi that it was his son. He is the one most qualified to speak. Chu Jun also responded angrily. Fu Yuzi looked at the others, then fixed his gaze on Xiang Beifei, and slowly said, If he wants to be the human king, he must first gain my recognition. I must determine whether my son's sacrifice was worthwhile. Then how do you propose this recognition? Luo Shanyu asked. Defeat me, Fu Yuzi stated. Defeat you? He's only 25, merely at the mid-level Inquiry Dao realm. You, an expert of the Ascension realm, want him to defeat you, Luo Shanyu exclaimed. These words left everyone surprised. 25 years old and mid-level Inquiry Dao realm? This point seemed to have slipped Duan Gaiyan's mind. Everyone, regardless of whether they bore hostility towards Xiang Beifei, once again appraised him with peculiar gazes, even falling into contemplation. But Fu Yuzi pressed on. So what if it's the Inquiry Dao realm? If he wants to be the human king, to lead everyone to find hope for the human race, he must prove himself. The Dao Palace is 1,000,000 times more powerful than me. If he can't even defeat me, how can he talk about defeating the Dao Palace? The words indeed held truth. Facing the colossal entity of the Dao Palace, they wouldn't grant the human race a fair one-on-one duel opportunity. Luo Shanyu scanned everyone, and coldly said, Fine. What if he does defeat Fu Yuzi? Chu Jun replied, He has to have the capability. There must be a conclusion to this battle. Luo Shanyu said, If he defeats Elder Fu Yuzi, I will kneel and kowtow in apology. Even if he doesn't like me and wants to kill me, I will harbor no resentment, Chu Jun declared. Shun Xinshui and the others nodded in agreement. That's right. Both of them looked up to Fu Yuzi as their leader, and Fu Yuzi had clearly become the backbone of these people. With the support of these people, Fu Yuzi's confident eyes gleamed sharply, shooting straight at Xiang Beifei. Kid, if you want to be the human king, show your true abilities. Defeat me first, and then let's see if you have what it takes to be the human king. Fu Yuzi seemed to disdain Xiang Beifei greatly. He took a step forward, and his aura in the Ascension realm surged, instantly enveloping Xiang Beifei in a terrifying manner that Inquiry Dao realm couldn't possibly withstand. Xiang Beifei said lowly, I don't want to fight. That's not up to you. Fu Yuzi shouted, the violent aura pushing everyone back, instantly surrounding Xiang Beifei. Chu Jun and Shun Xinshui, witnessing Fu Yuzi's terrifying momentum, were extremely excited. only wanting to see Xiang Beifei being severely defeated, allowing Fu Yuzi to vent the anger for their deceased loved ones. Xiang Beifei's expression was grave. This was the Ascension Realm Fu Yuzi, whose strength was even more formidable than the Avatar at the Rush's ruins. It was no trivial matter. Xiaohe had already rushed over, landed on his shoulder, preparing to face the enemy with a brick. But at that moment, a voice echoed in Xiang Beifei's mind. Use your woofing. Cooperate to defeat me, but don't let anyone see through it. Xiang Beifei was slightly stunned, thinking he had misheard. This was Fu Yuzi's voice transmission. Fu Yuzi's voice was no longer aggressive. It was clearly gentle, without any trace of hostility, as if he was discussing a perfectly normal matter with him. Xiang Beifei almost didn't react. How could Fu Yuzi, who was so aggressive just now, be speaking to him like this? But when he looked up and met Fu Yuzi's gaze, he realized that Fu Yuzi's eyes were filled with anger and disdain, as if looking down on Xiang Beifei, seeing him as nothing more than an ant. Boom! 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 The aura around Fu Yuzi surged like overwhelming waves, descending with unstoppable might. Xiang Beifei didn't have time to think. He turned and flashed away. Let me see why you can call yourself the human king. Fu Yuzi shouted angrily, as the spiritual power from his body transformed into 100 Zhonglong fire snake, roaring in the air, unleashing a monstrous blaze that seemed to distort the very void. Boom! The fire snake, with its terrifying aura of invincibility, opened its fearsome abyssal maw and swallowed Xiang Beifei. The scorching flames immediately charged towards Xiang Beifei, completely enveloping him. The flames were terrifying. Even Xiang Beifei dared not claim he could withstand them. His spiritual power instantly spread all over. He reached forward with a wave, and woofing, the broken sword, was drawn from the void, swiftly releasing a sword chi, with black and white flames rising from its blade, striking forward. Although his black and white flames were formidable in reality, they stood no chance in the face of overwhelming power disparity. However, when his black and white flames touched the fire snake was burned through, as if it were nothing more than a frail paper, shattered upon contact. Xiang Beifei was stunned again. Fu Yuzi's flames seemed overwhelming but were no more than paper tigers crumbling upon touch. You can actually wield woofing? That's something. Fu Yuzi's eyes clearly showed surprise. Then he shouted, and a giant palm purely formed from spiritual power rumbled through the air, seemingly able to tear it apart. Xiang Beifei. He finally understood. Fu Yuzi was really holding back. Did Fu Yuzi want him to win? Xiang Beifei didn't have time to think it over. The imprint in the air was already descending towards him. Regardless of whether he could catch it or not, he had to face it. Woofing, the broken sword, imbued with indomitable sword chi, soared high, striking prominently in the sky with majestic sword might. The sword chi, sharp and powerful, surged upwards, while the golden array patterns on the brick quickly spread to the sword blade, rushing towards the palm imprint in the air. That palm imprint was unbelievably powerful, vastly surpassing Xiang Beifei's sword chi. But when Xiang Beifei's sword chi rushed out, the gathered power of the palm imprint seemed to make way for Xiang Beifei, allowing the sword chi to wreak havoc upon it, while the golden array patterns extended onto the palm imprint. Crack! The palm imprint could not resist Xiang Beifei's sword chi at all. It was instantly shattered to pieces by his sword chi. How is this possible? Fu Yuzi's expression changed slightly, looking at Xiang Beifei in disbelief. On the other side, Chu Jun and Shin Xinshui and the others were equally astonished, utterly shocked by the scene. They were fully aware of Fu Yuzi's strength, but Xiang Beifei's bizarre sword chi far exceeded their expectations. This array pattern, the sacred stone on Taoist Qingda, you can actually wield it too. Fu Yuzi shouted loudly, as if afraid others wouldn't hear. Xiang Beifei. He was momentarily at a loss for how to respond. Normally, with his sword alone, there was no way he could break Fu Yuzi's terrifying palm imprint. Even with the brick's assistance, Fu Yuzi was strong enough to withstand it. Yet, Fu Yuzi precisely controlled his power to the level where the brick could spread its golden array patterns, imbuing Xiang Beifei's sword qi with a grandeur that seemed enormous despite lacking the strength of Fu Yuzi. In the eyes of Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui, Xiang Beifei, only at the mid-stage of inquiring Dao, shattered the palm imprint of Fu Yuzi with his sword qi carrying the golden array pattern, whose strength was actually comparable to the Ascension realm. The strength of this array pattern carrying sword qi is incredibly powerful. Fu Yuzi continued to shout, "If you can only rely on these attacks, it's far from enough to defeat me." The aura around him rolled out once more, exceedingly violent, and he surged forward fiercely. "Seize my throat! Restrain me!" Fu Yuzi's voice echoed in Xiang Beifei's ear once more. Xiang Beifei paused for a moment, then sprang up to meet him, simultaneously cleaving through those fierce attacks with another sword stroke, revealing Candle Dragon's Eye, instantly plunging the world into darkness. Everyone was dumbstruck, all losing their perception of Xiang Beifei at once. By that time, Xiang Beifei had approached because Fu Yuzi was in a state of holding back. Xiang Beifei seemed to face no resistance, breaking through the barrier of spiritual power in front of Fu Yuzi, and accurately seized Fu Yuzi's throat. Buzz! The world brightened again. "Use strength. Be ruthless. Don't hold back with me." After regaining his perception, Fu Yuzi immediately commanded to Xiang Beifei in his mind. Xiang Beifei could only tighten his grip on Fu Yuzi's throat, while the golden array patterns on the brick swiftly spread onto Fu Yuzi, immobilizing even his soul. Elder Fu Yuzi is actually defeated. Chu Jun stared blankly at Fu Yuzi, who was grasped by the throat and lifted in the air by Xiang Beifei, as if he had been struck heavily. He is just in the Inquiry Dao realm, yet he defeated Fu Yuzi in the mid-advancement Dao stage. Shen Xinshui also looked at all this in disbelief. Just now, the sky suddenly turned dark, extremely abrupt, completely blocking their perception. This eerie barrier was very powerful. It was the first time they encountered such unique and strong ability. And then when the sky lit up again, they saw Fu Yuzi captured by Xiang Beifei. Even his soul was tightly bound by golden formation patterns. You, how can you be so strong?" Fu Yuzi looked at Xiang Beifei in shock. At this moment his face was flushed red from being grabbed by Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei found it rather amusing. He hadn't even exerted his strength, and Fu Yuzi had already collapsed himself. "Please forgive me, senior." Xiang Beifei released Fu Yuzi, and the golden formation patterns quickly faded from Fu Yuzi's body. Fu Yuzi touched his throat, retreated, and looked at Xiang Beifei with an uncertain expression on his face. On the other side, Chu Jun and others saw Fu Yuzi defeated and immediately rushed over. "Elder Fu Yuzi, Fu Yuzi was silent for a moment, then slowly exhaled and said, "I lost." Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui exchanged glances, looking at Xiang Beifei with growing astonishment. Fu Yuzi lost. The Inquiry Dao stage actually defeated the Advancement Dao stage. He actually did it. Chu Jun, still unwilling to give up, said, "Elder Fu Yuzi, he must have just borrowed his ancestors' abilities." Luo Shanyu coldly interjected, "If you can use your ancestors' abilities to defeat opponents beyond your realm, that is also your skill." Chu Jun was stumped. He couldn't do that. Luo Shanyu continued, "Besides, Xiang Beifei is a descendant of the human king. Using ancestors' abilities is natural. Our human race will face the Dao Palace in the future. Do you think the Dao Palace will show mercy just because of whose skills you use?" Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui both looked upset from being rebuffed. Other elders supporting Fu Yuzi were also visibly unsatisfied but found no point to counter. They all anxiously looked at Fu Yuzi, hoping he would speak. "Enough, losing is losing. He defeated me. That is the truth. I have nothing to say." Fu Yuzi spoke up. The moment he spoke, even though Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui were unwilling, they had no choice. Because they supported the strongest Fu Yuzi, yet Fu Yuzi was defeated by Xiang Beifei in a short time. Their main support had collapsed. Even if they stepped up, it was unlikely to be a match for Xiang Beifei. Luo Shanyu scrutinized Chu Jun and others, asking, "What were you saying just now?" Chu Jun clenched his fists, seemingly tongue-tied. Losing is losing, winning is winning, you defeated me, you qualify to be this human king. I, Fu Yuzi, am born straightforward, won't go back on my word. Fu Yuzi stepped forward, then knelt on one knee, saying, Subordinate Fu Yuzi greets the human king. Chu Jun and Shin Shinshui stood in place, sighed deeply, and unwillingly knelt down. Greetings to the human king. Not only them, but others who were hostile to Xiang Beifei also had no complaints anymore, all accepted Xiang Beifei's status. The remaining elders who originally held high expectations for Xiang Beifei, now witnessing his power, were even more excited, also bowed. Please rise, everyone. Xiang Beifei immediately helped Fu Yuzi up. Truth be told, he felt guilty about this matter. He didn't truly defeat Fu Yuzi. He still had more questions in his mind. Regarding Taoist Weihua, can I speak privately with Senior Fu Yuzi? Xiang Beifei asked. Sure. Fu Yuzi nodded respectfully. Uncle Master, please come over for a chat as well. Xiang Beifei continued. Xiang Beifei led Fu Yuzi and Luo Shanyu into the distant void, then drew a line of spiritual power to isolate everyone, ensuring that the situation here would not be seen by others. Senior, why do this? Xiang Beifei looked at Fu Yuzi and asked. Fu Yuzi looked at Xiang Beifei, then showed a kind smile. Because only in this way can you command respect. Xiang Beifei was extremely surprised. Did you think that I could truly be the human king? Fu Yuzi replied with a straightforward smile. Actually, having you assume the role of the human king would not be unacceptable either. The important thing is the unity of the human race. Xiang Beifei said. Fu Yuzi slightly shook his head. I know my own situation best, and actually, everyone knows that the one truly qualified to be the human king must be you. It's just that the mishap with your father back then dealt too much of a blow, leading to the grievances from Chu Jun and others. He sighed and said, but they can't be blamed entirely. They are victims too. Our human race has been hunted everywhere by the Tao Palace, living like rats in the sewers, enduring in darkness for years, seeing no hope, while the Tao Palace sits like a mountain weighing on everyone's hearts. Their resentment towards your family is understandable. Xiang Beifei did not speak, understanding this point. At this moment, Luo Shanyu also spoke. At that time, the human race split into two factions, one supporting your father and one opposing him, and neither could convince the other. Life was already difficult for the human race, and continuing like this, the race might have fallen into an abyss of doom. So, this had to be done. Uncle Master Long knew that Senior Fu Yuzi would yield to me? Xiang Beifei asked in surprise. What do you think? Luo Shanyu let out a light snort. Xiang Beifei finally understood why Luo Shanyu had so much confidence in him earlier. Apparently, he knew the outcome of this contest was predetermined. This is our idea. Fu Yuzi laughed. The human race cannot undergo internal strife, so Luo Shanyu and I secretly decided that I would act as the leader of those opposing your father, and he would lead those who support him. Because I am currently the strongest among the human race. When I opposed your father, Chu Jun and others immediately followed me, wanting me to become the human king. I became the leader of their faction just to prevent them from causing internal turmoil. Fu Yuzi sighed, smiling bitterly. I must control them, constantly understanding their mindset, carefully soothing their emotions, telling them that opposing your father should be in people's interest, but the greater interest of the human race must take precedence. I could only let them trust me, and then with Luo Shanyu extinguish potential conflicts in the cradle. Chu Jun and others, after all, are also pillars of the human race. No matter how dissatisfied, they must be appeased. Luo Shanyu and I both understand that we cannot suppress them by force alone. Even if we suppress their actions, we may not control their hearts, which would surely cause future calamities. I have always been looking for a suitable opportunity to guide them. Fortunately, they trust me greatly, and with the secret coordination of Luo Shanyu and me, although the two factions don't quite get along, they haven't fallen out either. And at this time, you have returned. Fu Yuzi looked at Xiang Beifei with relief. I knew the human race would eventually see hope, and you are that glimmer of dawn. Chu Jun and the others will naturally oppose you. They will not submit to you. You can only convince them by defeating me." He paused here, then laughed openly. "So, I must lose." After hearing Fu Yuzi's words, Xiang Beifei was deeply moved. He never thought there were such selfless seniors within the human race. Fu Yuzi and Luo Shanyu essentially joined forces to suppress the human race's internal conflict. He finally understood why, despite the human race being hunted everywhere by the Dao Palace, it managed to survive. It was precisely because there were people like Luo Shanyu and Fu Yuzi who prioritized the bigger picture, for whom fame and fortune meant nothing. "But your defeat will cause you to lose face in front of them," Xiang Beifei said. "Haha, my face is as fleeting as a cloud. It doesn't matter if I lose it. What matters is that the human race must rebuild its belief. They must renew their hope for the future to survive. As long as the human race can be reunited, even if they kill me to establish their authority, I will not resist." Fu Yuzi laughed. "You overestimate me, senior. The human race needs people like you. Any mishap is unacceptable." Xiang Beifei bowed deeply to Fu Yuzi, then offered a salute to Luo Shanyu. "On behalf of the human race, I thank both of you, seniors. You need not thank me. Just remember what you've said." Luo Shanyu's expression remained stern. "You said the human race can trust you." "Yes, the human race can trust me." Xiang Beifei also saw hope in the human race and added, "And because of both you, I also believe in the human race." Fu Yuzi and Luo Shanyu exchanged a glance, the flames of hope gradually igniting in their aged eyes. "Happy New Year's Eve. Wishing everyone happiness and good health." Fu Yuzi and Luo Shanyu both understood the internal conflicts within the human race, but they did not rely on brute force to suppress them, because the human race was already in a precarious situation. Resorting to brute force would only bring destruction, so they chose a more indirect way to save the human race. Such an approach earned Xiang Beifei's admiration. Chu Jun and the others are not inherently evil. They are merely victims of Dao Palace's oppression. Because they see no hope, they seek it out for themselves. I hope the human king will not blame them, and as long as they see hope, they will return." Fu Yuzi said. "Rest assured, senior, I understand." Xiang Beifei hesitated for a moment, then said, "Senior, regarding your son, Taoist Weihua, it was my fault. It was my first encounter with him, and I never expected him to act this way." The smile on Fu Yuzi's face gradually faded, and his expression showed a hint of melancholy. He let out a long sigh and shook his head slightly. "There's no need for the human king to blame himself. He did the right thing. It was his duty. When I etched the stellar death warrior glyphs into his soul, I told him that his life was no longer his own, nor mine. It belonged to the human king and the future of the human race." Fu Yuzi said. Xiang Beifei was surprised. "Senior, you inscribed the glyphs on him?" He hadn't expected that Fu Yuzi, as a father, would allow his own son to offer up his life as a death warrior. "Not just him. I am also a death warrior for the human king." A fiery red glow appeared on Fu Yuzi's body, and his soul emerged, intricately engraved with mysterious glyphs. Flames formed a fire snake in the air, powerful wings on its sides, roaring as it surged out. "Senior is also a death warrior?" Xiang Beifei was even more surprised. Both father and son had simultaneously chosen to become death warriors. "Subordinate wing fire snake, always ready to offer my soul for the human king. And whenever my life is needed, the human king's command will suffice." Fu Yuzi bowed and said, "No need to be so formal, senior." Xiang Beifei immediately supported him. "The human king need not think too much. We chose to become death warriors for the future of the human race. As long as the human race can continue, the death of Weihua is worthwhile. He died protecting the human king, protecting the future of the human race. As a father, I am always proud of him." Fu Yuzi replied calmly and unhurriedly. The death of his son brought him immense grief, but he never forgot his identity or his mission. What he could do was suppress the sadness in his heart and help Xiang Beifei strengthen the human race, allowing his son to live on in the hope of the human race. Xiang Beifei looked at the two human race seniors, Luo Shanyu and Fu Yuzi, and felt a twinge of emotion. These two were both his death warriors, willing to sacrifice themselves for the human race, and such seniors would forever remain worthy of his respect. With them present, the human race would not perish. He also warned himself that he would never allow the incident with Taoist Weihua to happen again. To Xiang Beifei, being alive meant hope. He was determined to ensure that all of them would continue to live. When Xiang Beifei and the others returned, Li Qianluo was speaking eloquently to Chu Jun and the others, describing how the human race stronghold under Luo Shanyu's governance had transformed under Xiang Beifei's influence. Chu Jun and his group appeared very skeptical, as Li Qianluo's description was too fantastical. The stronghold had supposedly freed itself from the constraints of the Blood Wood, which sounded like pure fantasy. He is not from the Zhu Mang tribe. How can he control Jianmu? Chu Jun said solemnly. Because he is the human king, Li Qianluo replied without hesitation. Dao Palace's harm has always targeted the soul, and we have no way to heal severed legs. How can he possibly heal the scars left on the soul? Chu Jun remained doubtful. Because he is the human king, Li Qianluo replied again. Chu Jun looked very angry. Even though he had knelt after Fu Yuzi's defeat, that didn't mean he had truly submitted to Xiang Beifei in his heart. Instead of questioning endlessly, it's better to see for yourself. You can come to my place and see. When Luo Shanyu returned and saw Chu Jun's attitude, he spoke up. Xiang Beifei also said, improving the quality of life for the human race is essential for a better future. Using Blood Wood is a last resort. This time, bringing you here is to discuss significant matters for the human race. Your stronghold must be entirely improved using Jianmu. Follow me for a trip and see for yourselves. Fine, I'll go with you. Chu Jun still looked at Xiang Beifei with deep hostility. Normally, the elders wouldn't be taken to a specific stronghold for discussion, but Xiang Beifei used his abilities, respected as a criterion, to check these people, and after confirming their trustworthiness, he took them there. The city was now quite large. People lived in houses, wooden structures lined up neatly. The city was no longer cold and dark but full of life, peaceful and warm. There was no need to nourish the Blood Wood with blood, and the gloom on people's faces had gradually lifted. Chu Jun and Shin Xinshui were shocked to see the transformed living area. For their own areas were still suffering, and compared to here, it was like living in a paradise. Those elders who had never opposed Xiang Beifei were even more excited, as the situation here was the ideal life they longed for, living in peace without worrying about life. This residential area is just in the preliminary stages of construction. I will continue to make improvements in the future. Regardless of whether you acknowledge me, I will find time to use this as a foundation to improve the living conditions of the humans you are responsible for, ensuring everyone is free from the parasitism of the Bloodwood. Xiang Beifei shared his thoughts, mostly directed toward Chu Jun and the others, understanding that Chu Jun's group only showed surface obedience without complete inner submission. Nonetheless, no matter what these elders thought, he would implement these plans forcefully. Luo Shanyu intentionally led all the elders on a tour of the entire city, giving them an overview. They were utterly shocked when they discovered that every household had independent bathrooms within their homes. The more they toured the living facilities, the more genuinely impressed the elders became. Even Chu Jun had to admit that these living conditions were what they had longed for. Luo Shanyu had these elders temporarily reside here for a few days to immerse themselves in the conditions, hoping to better convince the populace. However, Xiang Beifei noticed that each time he met Chu Jun, the man still harbored hatred. Though he did not verbalize it, his gaze told the truth. He had not rid himself of resentment towards Xiang Beifei. His submission was half-hearted. He consistently tried to find fault with Xiang Beifei, countering everything Xiang Beifei said with dissenting remarks, much to the annoyance of everyone. For example, Xiang Beifei established a wastewater treatment formation to collect sewage from each building, treating it with a formation to ferment rapidly into fertilizer to be used for vegetable irrigation. Since you can control Jianmu, why not directly mature the vegetables? As the human king, did you overlook this? Chu Jun asked coldly. Because maturing plants consumes spiritual power. This vast city demands immense spiritual power. Where we can conserve it, we should. Xiang Beifei replied. Era provided various vegetable seeds for ordinary people who don't cultivate to grow. Using the artificial fertilizer produced from daily life, large-scale vegetable cultivation can save Era a lot of effort. But doesn't maintaining this wastewater treatment formation require spiritual power crystals? Calculation of the overall workload shows that within a month, maintaining the formation costs far more spiritual power crystals than what the Kailan would need to mature vegetables. Can't you, as the human king, figure that out? Chu Jun added. If it's just to maintain the city for a month, indeed the formation consumes significant spiritual power. But considering a year or even 10 years, the human demand for food is enormous. Vegetable cultivation can rotate crops, naturally growing many types in a year. With humans planting alongside the formation support, over the long term, the spiritual power consumed by the formation becomes trivial. Waste produced naturally can be recycled to fertilize the vegetables, preventing needless wastage. Xiaohe spoke from the side. Limited resources must be recycled. Spiritual power crystals are a type of resource too. You've lived for hundreds if not thousands of years. Don't you understand this simple principle? Or do you think our city will last just a month? What do you intend? You! Chu Jun was left speechless by Xiaohe, his expression extremely unpleasant. Xiang Beifei had no interest in reasoning with Chu Jun and continued handling other matters. But Chu Jun continuously shadowed Xiang Beifei as if supervising. Over the past days, Xiang Beifei had to not only improve various formations but also attend to everyone's medical needs. Dao Palace's tactics were ruthless, targeting humans from their souls, leaving those who had cultivated souls injured. Chu Jun watched as Xiang Beifei regrew an elder's severed arm during the orifice transforming stage and asked, "Can you heal soul injuries?" "Yes," Xiang Beifei replied. "You must have cultivated a special healing technique. Where did you get it? Why don't you make it public? Let us learn. We will face Dao Palace in the future. Having this ability is an extra form of self-protection. As the human king, it should be expected for you to teach us," Chu Jun said. Xiang Beifei calmly said, "I wish to teach, but you can't learn it." "How do you know we can't learn if you don't teach?" Chu Jun asked coldly. "Try comprehending this technique." Xiang Beifei compressed the aura of return to the original state into a seal and tossed it to Chu Jun. Chu Jun frowned, attempting to understand the seal, but soon his face turned both pale and flushed. The aura was too profound for him, and he had no idea how to unravel it. Xiaohe stood nearby with hands on his hips, unceremoniously said, "This ability requires special spiritual power. That's probably why my brother is the human king, and you're not." "You!" Chu Jun appeared furious. "You seem to have a soul injury as well. Shall I heal it?" Xiang Beifei offered. "No need." Chu Jun snorted coldly and turned to leave. Xiang Beifei watched Chu Jun's back, falling into contemplation. Xiaohe commented from the side, "How is this guy so annoying? I really want to give him a beating. We haven't done anything to offend him, and the death of his wife and child wasn't our doing, so why act like it's our fault?" "Let him be," Xiang Beifei replied. "No, I can't trust him. I'm always worried he'll cause trouble sooner or later. I need to keep an eye on him." Xiaohe's eyes darted around and he immediately disappeared into thin air. Xiang Beifei did not pursue it, instead focusing on deliberating with other elders about how to merge the 4 human bases in the days to come. Coincidentally, all the elders were inspecting this city, and with the living conditions acknowledged, they wanted to relocate the humans they protected here. However, some disagreements arose. Some elders opposed the merger, fearing it wasn't safe. If Dao Palace attacked, the human race risked being wiped out in one fell swoop. But without merging, it became difficult for Era to manage operations of 5 cities simultaneously. In a compromise, Xiang Beifei proposed merging the 5 bases into 2, alleviating Era's burden. This proposition was unanimously agreed upon by all elders. Strangely, Chu Jun didn't object this time, leaving Xiang Beifei feeling perplexed. Recently, being accustomed to Chu Jun's constant opposition, when Chu Jun suddenly stopped, it felt odd. Perhaps he's had a change of heart? Xiang Beifei pondered. Many elders had already returned to their bases to prepare for the upcoming population migration, and Xiang Beifei was preparing to construct a new city. Just then, Era came running to find Xiang Beifei. Feifei, come quickly. They're secretly discussing something. Avoiding everyone, Era exclaimed. Who? Xiang Beifei asked. That Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui. Xiaohe told me to keep an eye on them. I finally caught them. They sneaked into an unoccupied house and set up various shielding formations, possibly plotting against you, Era said, clenching his fists. Plotting? Xiang Beifei asked. Yes. Recently, many elders have explicitly acknowledged your status, but only those 2 have shown coldness. I clearly heard them mention something about Dao Palace and help. After setting up formations, their skill was too strong, blocking me from hearing. I suspect they're too resentful of you and unwilling for you to be human king. Come with me quickly to check it out, Era urged anxiously. Xiaohe curiously asked, Are you sure that's what they said? Era affirmed confidently. Of course. They talked about seeking help from Dao Palace, surely planning to betray the human race. Think about it, they've been constantly opposing us, yet during the human base merger they didn't oppose. Isn't that suspicious? Now sneaking off to meet, setting up so many formations. Definitely something is amiss. Xiang Beifei's expression grew serious. This is the last safe haven for the human race. If due to personal vendettas, Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui were to do something extreme, it cannot be ignored. Xiaohe clenched his fists, his small face full of resolve. Let's go. If they dare betray the human race, they'll taste my righteous iron fists. Xiang Beifei didn't hesitate, following Era into the trees, quickly finding the room where Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui were. Even though the place was heavily restricted to block Era's prying, to Xiang Beifei, it wasn't difficult. Relying on Yin and Yang's source energy, he mimicked the formation's aura and quietly broke through the formation. The wooden house here was on the 6th floor, in a high position, where you could see the whole city's appearance. Chu Jun and Shen Xinshui were inside the room. Their expressions varied. Chu Jun looked burdened with thoughts, while Shen Xinshui was hesitant to speak. Seeing them sneaking around, you know they're not good people. Era, lying among the ceiling beams, overlooked the 2 in the room, muttering with clenched fists. Shu, don't talk. Xiang Beifei stared at Chu Jun, pondering slightly. Chu Jun's strength wasn't weak. He was arguably the strongest person besides Fu Yuzi and Luo Shanyu. He was a native of the Edge Corner airspace human race, looking only about 40, but was actually quite old. There weren't many experts among the human race, and Chu Jun was one of the pillars. A few days ago, when Chu Jun opposed me, he was quite spirited, exuding a sharp momentum like a porcupine, with "I reject you" written all over him. But the present Chu Jun seemed aged, his hair even white, his stubble tangled and messy, looking very haggard. The room was silent for a long time. After a long while, Shen Xinshui broke the silence and said, The time given by the Dao Palace isn't much. What do you think? Chu Jun's expression seemed a bit unusual, as if troubled by something, struggling within. After some time, he firmly said, I won't go. Shen Xinshui sighed. Maybe you can try negotiating with the human king. To be honest, his abilities are witnessed by all, even I have to be convinced. He managed to return alive from the Rushu ruins. Maybe he has some way. Chu Jun stood up, walked to the window, and overlooking below the spacious windowsill, he asked, What do you see? Shen Xinshui also walked to the window. Below, a group of innocent and cute children were running in the square. These kids weren't of cultivation age, so they played in groups, flying kites, swinging on the lawn, playing with boomerangs, practicing climbing, even climbing a small mountain built from wood. The children's laughter was loud and clear, resonating here, filled with hope, emotionally moving. This is the childhood they should have.
Chu Yun sighed.
Indeed. Shun Xinshui slightly nodded. Though I resent their family, he could provide such a rare, peaceful life for everyone. One should cherish what they have. Chu Jun said. But Chu Shi is your grandson. He deserves such a life. You've lost your son. Do you really not care even about your grandson? Shin Xinshui said. Chu Jun clenched his fists, his face visibly pale. He bit his lips so hard they almost bled. These are the rules. The human race's rules. If you don't abide by the rules, how can you discuss the human race's future? Chu Jun's voice trembled slightly, but with determination. Rules are dead, but people are alive. Maybe the human king can find a way? I found Xiang Beifei to be there's hope in him. He might come up with something. I won't let him go there. Chu Jun shook his head decisively. But you know very well why the Dao Palace is doing this. Chu Jun shouted. Shin Xinshui pursed her lips and said, but Xiang Beifei can defeat Elder Fu Yuzi. Chu Jun slightly raised his head, irritably said, can't you see why Fu Yuzi lost to him? Shin Xinshui was slightly taken aback. Why? Chu Jun looked at Shin Xinshui, seemingly realizing he said something he shouldn't have, then vaguely evaded. Luo Shanyu acknowledged his identity. Surely he told him how to defeat Fu Yuzi. Shin Xinshui found Chu Jun a bit strange, faintly feeling it wasn't the reason Chu Jun wanted to say. In any case, you're not allowed to find him or tell him about this matter. Chu Jun spoke firmly. Shin Xinshui looked reluctant, but nodded. All right, I promise you. Leave me alone for a while. Chu Jun didn't want to continue talking. Shin Xinshui sighed, no longer persuading. Call me if you need anything. I'm always here. She turned to leave the room, hesitating as she glanced at Chu Jun's back before finally closing the door. Chu Jun still stood by the window, staring blankly outside, his eyes full of confusion. Child, it's Grandpa's fault. Unable to protect your father, unable to protect you. He muttered to himself, his tone filled with helplessness and self-blame. The children's laughter echoed below, as if reminding him to cherish the present life. I thought I hated the human king's family, but I know clearly I have no right to hate them. What I hate is myself. Chu Jun painfully turned around and sat on the ground, leaning against the wall. In that moment, it was as if his whole body was drained of strength, collapsing down. He opened his palm, revealing a blue jade, inscribed with the name Chu Shi, with a faint flame flickering on this jade. That is the seed of life. Chu Jun watched the flickering flame that could be extinguished at any moment, shaking with emotion, the tears in his eyes falling silently. Xiang Beifei saw this side of Chu Jun for the first time, as during the past 2 days when he met Chu Jun, the latter always looked at him with hostility, speaking of submission, yet holding entirely different thoughts in his heart. Like a defiant and arrogant person. Someone who couldn't win Xiang Beifei's favor no matter what. If they weren't both part of the human race, Xiang Beifei would have slapped him already. However, the Chu Jun before him seemed extremely vulnerable, as if something hidden was making this sharp and harsh man restrain his edge. Xiaohe asked puzzled, Feifei, no matter how you look at him, he doesn't seem like he's going to betray the human race, right? Could there be a mistake? Era said, but I really heard him say something about the Dao Palace helping earlier. Didn't you hear the whole thing? Xiaohe replied, you often only hear half of what's said. What? What do you mean? You can catch this guy and interrogate him severely if you don't believe me. With the respected as a criterion here, he can't lie. Era argued. Xiang Beifei looked at Chu Jun, pondered for a moment, and then chose to leave. Feifei, not interrogating him? Era asked from behind. It's not appropriate to disturb him, go find another one. Xiang Beifei followed Shin Xinshui. Although Shin Xinshui looked just 30 or 40 years old from the outside, she still retained her charm. Actually, she was quite old, and her eyes were filled with an ancient depth that contradicted her smooth skin. As she turned around a wooden house, A beam of light enveloped her. Buzz! Xiang Beifei had already pulled her into the system space he established. Shen Xinshui was startled and coldly shouted, "Who are you?" "It's me." Xiang Beifei revealed himself. Seeing it was Xiang Beifei, Shen Xinshui sighed slightly in relief but remained vigilant. "What are you doing?" Xiang Beifei directly asked. "Who is Chu Shi?" Shen Xinshui paused. Her expression obviously changed somewhat, but she still answered calmly, "Why do you ask that?" "Just curious." Shen Xinshui considered it, realizing it wasn't really a secret, and replied, "Elder Chu Jun's grandson." "Where is he now?" Hearing Xiang Beifei ask, Shen Xinshui clearly wanted to say it, but something crossed her mind, and she shook her head. "I don't know. Be honest, it can save some time." Xiang Beifei said, "You should ask him, not me." Shen Xinshui had promised Chu Jun she wouldn't reveal this matter. However, Xiang Beifei didn't give her the chance to hide, and instantly trapped Shen Xinshui within the respected as a Criterion's ability. "Where is he?" Xiang Beifei repeated. Shen Xinshui's early-stage cultivation couldn't resist Xiang Beifei's respected as a Criterion. As if involuntarily, she confessed, "Taken away by the Dao Palace." She froze slightly, surprised at her own confession. "You have the ability to force me to tell the truth?" Shen Xinshui was very shocked, because in the human race, there's a mark on the soul preventing the disclosure of secrets. Even the Dao Palace couldn't interrogate it. Not even the human king. Yet she had told the truth? But Shen Xinshui was clearly experienced, quickly calming down, and asked, "In front of you, isn't there a chance of lying?" "Yes." Xiang Beifei didn't hide it. Shen Xinshui seemed to relax slightly. She promised Chu Jun not to disclose this matter. But in fact, she hoped Xiang Beifei would know. Now that Xiang Beifei was pressing her to tell the truth, she didn't resist much. Xiang Beifei said, "When did this happen?" "Last month. Chu Shi snuck out to go to Jingxi City, saying he wanted to find his parents because his parents were responsible for the human race's mission in Jingxi City before they were killed by the Dao Palace. Elder Chu hid the truth from him and didn't tell him for several years." "How old is he?" Xiang Beifei asked. 10 years old." 10 years old? How could he fly in the void? Xiang Beifei said. "He snuck into the team. Jingxi City used to be a vital transport hub for us. After his parents were killed by the Dao Palace, the clan had to send someone to take over. Although Chu Shi is young, he is very smart. He already knew how his parents transported food supplies. When no one was watching him, he sneaked into a spatial storage jade that could temporarily hide people and attached it to an elder of the Heavenly Connection realm, thus making his way to Jingxi City. Hiding someone in space? Is he seeking death? Didn't that Heavenly Connection elder notice?" Xiang Beifei asked. "The edge corner airspace occasionally has void tides that can crush spatial abilities, making every inch of land precious. Otherwise, spatial houses could be built to accommodate countless people. How could a child care about those things? That elder used to be very close to Chu Shi and didn't guard against him. One moment of negligence, and after they arrived at Jingxi City, Chu Shi sneaked out, and then the news came that he was captured by the Dao Palace." "Was he killed by the Dao Palace?" "Not yet. After the Dao Palace captures our human race, there's usually a 1-month public display period where they capture them, lock them in a cage, display them to all races for a month, and then kill them in front of everyone." "So, he's still alive now?" "Being alive is as good as being dead. The Dao Palace announces it for a month to give our human race time to know the news and await rescue by our kind." Shen Xinshui said. "Will you go to rescue him?" Xiang Beifei asked. Shen Xinshui shook her head. "No rescue. That's our rule. Regardless of who gets captured by the Dao Palace, others are not allowed to rescue them. Even if they are killed, they must be left to die." "Why?" "Because the Dao Palace does more than just put humans on display. They usually send several Ascension Realm experts to monitor secretly, setting traps waiting for us to rescue. Once we show up, the chance of rescue is 0, only costing more lives. So we set the rule early on. Anyone captured by the Dao Palace is considered sacrificed." Shen Xinshui's eyes were filled with grief. She also has countless familiar friends and relatives who were killed by the Dao Palace, but she was powerless to help. The human race is too weak. Till now there is only one ascension period Fu Yuzi, who is not enough to stand against the Dao Palace's traps. Xiang Beifei finally understood the meaning behind what Chu Jun said earlier. He was a strong man who lost his son, daughter, wife, and now even his grandson could not be saved. His heart had long since died. However sharp he appeared on the outside, he was merely a helpless father, a helpless grandfather behind it all. After all, even a hedgehog has a soft side. You can discuss it with me, Xiang Beifei asked. I originally wanted to tell you, but he didn't allow me to say a word. Shun Xinshui no longer cared why she spoke the truth. Some things were too hard to swallow. Pausing, she continued, Elder Chu Jun's wife and several sons and daughters have already sacrificed for the human race. Chu Shi is his only family. I originally suggested finding you to see if there was a way, but he declined. How to say it? Shin Xinshui hesitated for a moment, then said, though he is extremely hostile towards you, constantly making difficulties for you openly and secretly these days, targeting everything you do, criticizing your work, but in fact, he likes the environment here a lot. He says this is the future for the human race. He didn't let me tell you about this because he didn't want to trouble you, much less want you to risk rescuing his grandson, as the dangers are too great. Even though he holds a huge grudge against your father, he understands clearly what should and shouldn't be done. At 25, you've already reached the Inquiry Dao realm with amazing talent. He knows you are the future of the human race, and he understands that your life is far more important than his grandson's. Shun Xinshui explained everything, then looked at Xiang Beifei with an extremely complex expression. Xiang Beifei remained silent. The seemingly annoying guy actually understands right from wrong. The fact that the human race has survived under Dao Palace's pursuit until now is definitely not by chance. Do Elder Fu Yuzi and Elder Luo know? Regardless of who knows of a human race member captured by the Dao Palace, everyone is supposed to pretend they don't know. No elder is allowed to rescue. Captured equals sacrificed. Shin Xinshui said. I understand. Xiang Beifei lifted the spatial restriction and turned to leave. Will you go rescue him? Shin Xinshui called from behind. Just forget about this matter. Xiang Beifei retrieved the respected as a criterion and disappeared around the corner. Xiang Beifei handed the task of building the new city over to Era, asking him to help manage things quietly here. If someone comes looking, just say he's cultivating. Meanwhile, he quietly prepared to leave. But just as he left the human race's outpost, Li Qianluo appeared out of nowhere. Xiao Bei, you're going to rescue someone without taking me. Li Qianluo came running over eagerly. What rescue? Xiang Beifei asked with a laugh. Aren't you going to Jingxi City to save Chu Shi? How do you also know about Chu Shi? Uncle Duan mentioned it this morning. He's in charge of gathering all sorts of information from the Edge Corner airspace daily. He mentioned Chu Jun's grandson. I was thinking of asking if you wanted to rescue him. Li Qianluo said with a cheeky grin. I'll go by myself, you stay here obediently. Is this your first day knowing me? Li Qianluo put her hands on her hips and giggled. All right, follow along. Xiang Beifei was too lazy to persuade her further. This girl was always eager for excitement. Last time at Bone Mountain and Desert Stone Cave, she created a Zhajiang stronghold to play around, and persuasion was of no use. Alrighty. Li Qianluo joyfully ran over, jumped onto Xiang Beifei's breath soil, and the two headed towards Jingxi City. Jingxi City was an unremarkable small town, not large in scale. Compared to other towns, it was relatively remote, which was why the human race chose it as a contact point, less likely to be noticed by the Dao Palace. However, ever since Chu Shi was captured, the human race abandoned this contact point, even giving up all resources. Xiang Beifei stood in the void, looking at the Jingxi City ahead, pondering slightly. Jingxi City was bustling, with people of various races coming and going endlessly. On the surface, it seemed unchanged, but there were undercurrents flowing beneath. Around this city, there were all sorts of faint formations extremely concealed. They weren't offensive and were invisible, but everyone entering or exiting was recorded. The entire formation was like a cube, wrapping around Jingxi City, with a master of the Inquiry Dao realm guarding each side. Most importantly, if these formations were triggered from the inside, the entire city would be locked down and no one could escape. They sure have put on quite a display, Xiang Beifei said. That's normal. Every time a human is caught, they lay a trap, waiting for a rescue attempt, hoping to kill a few rash humans. But humans have learned now. When captured, they just give up, not attempting a rescue. Li Qianluo said. You sure know a lot. I was born and raised in the Edge Corner airspace. I'm knowledgeable about many things, Li Qianluo said, rubbing her fists enthusiastically. What's our plan next? What plan? I don't fully understand the situation yet. No plan? Great. No plan is the best plan. Catches them off guard. Li Qianluo rubbed her hands eagerly. Let's enter the city first. Xiang Beifei easily figured out the characteristics of this formation, then used yin and yang energies to simulate different breaths, making entering and exiting this place as easy as pie. The nets set by the Dao Palace were like a pile of junk to him. Xiaohei, go gather some information. Remember, don't act rashly. Discuss with me first, Xiang Beifei said. Understood. Xiaohei leapt high and disappeared into the city. The city was bustling, with vendors lining the streets selling various magical artifacts containing powerful spiritual power. Boss, how much for this piece of 1,000-fathom ice? Li Qianluo stopped at the stall of a man dressed in ice crystal clothes, asking for the price. The vendor of the 1,000-fathom ice was a practitioner of the Ice Dao race, only with the cultivation level of Heavenly Connection realm. His ears were still translucent ice crystals, sparkling brightly. Seeing business, the Ice Dao raceman immediately perked up, greeting with a smile. Miss, you have a keen eye, immediately spotting the most valuable piece of Millennium 1,000-fathom ice from our place. To not hide from you, this piece has been nurtured for millions of years. The spiritual power it contains is extremely special. It was once a relic left by an expert of Xianming ancestral Dao realm. For the first sale today, I'll give you a discount. 1 fathom of ice for 1 fathom of soil. Are you crazy? Why not just rob? This lousy ice can only produce 30 fathoms of water at most, and you want to sell it for 1 fathom of soil? 2 feet would be more than enough. Li Qianluo haggled. The Ice Dao raceman said, Miss, that would be unfair. This 1,000-fathom ice is top-notch, millions of years of ancient ice. The spiritual power it contains is more than just 30 fathoms of water. Your price is too low. Are you taking me for a fool? If I didn't want to soak in an ice spring bath, I wouldn't even buy it, alright? I just went by the Aquatic Dao Races stand. Their discounted active free water was only 2 feet and 3 inches for the same amount. Li Qianluo argued on. The Ice Dao raceman was agitated, angrily saying, How can the Aquatic Dao Races active free water compare to our 1,000-fathom ice? They are stealing our work, catalyzing our 1,000-fathom ice into water to sell? So shameless. How they sell is their business. Whatever grudge between the Ice Dao race and the Aquatic Dao race doesn't concern me. I'm just buying what's cost-effective. If you don't agree, I'll go buy from the Aquatic Dao race. No. Alright, I'll offer 3-foot 1. Can't go any lower. 3-foot 1. Still not cost-effective. Sending you an ice purification divine artifact again. That's generous. I'll buy 5 pieces. Xiao Bei, pay up. Li Qianluo clapped his hands and said proudly. Xiang Beifei. However, what he didn't lack was breath soil, so he paid the money. Li Qianluo cheerfully stuffed several pieces of the basin-sized 1,000-fathom ice into Xiang Beifei's hands, saying, Hold on to it. Use it as your water source when you get back. Humans also need water to survive. Although this 1,000-fathom ice is only the size of a face basin, once catalyzed with spiritual power, it's enough to cover the water expenses for 1,000 people for 2 to 3 months. Li Qianluo strolled happily through the market, buying all sorts of things, from clothes to fertilizers and various spirit stones, even purchasing a brood of chicks to raise back home. We're here to rescue people, not shop, Xiang Beifei reminded her. Shopping doesn't conflict with rescuing. We can't just come out for nothing. Li Qianluo said nonchalantly. Xiang Beifei laughed silently. One has to admit, this girl was quite adept at bargaining, understanding market prices even better than Xiang Beifei. Often with just a few words, she drove the price down. Of course, for Xiang Beifei, he didn't care much about the prices. He had plenty of breath soil, not short of money. However, they were not merely shopping for the sake of it. Midway, Xiang Beifei was also constantly perceiving the structure of the city and the hidden traps within it. Beneath the prosperous facade of the city, there was indeed an undercurrent. Every few steps, they saw some Dao Palace spies monitoring them. Although Li Qianluo was shopping, she was actually using this chance to show Xiang Beifei who the Dao Palace spies were, teaching him how to identify them. Their aura is basically unrecognizable, but Dao Palace members have a mark on their divine souls. Normal people don't have the ability to look at others' divine souls, but we're different. You can see divine souls, right? Xiang Beifei was surprised. You can see divine souls too? Of course, I can teach you how to identify Dao Palace identities. See that young man eating noodles? Although he's only at the orifice transforming stage, there's a soil character on his divine soul's left shoulder, representing his rank. Li Qianluo pointed out. Rank. The identities of Dao Palace members are divided into 5 ranks: breath soil, border, frontier, airspace, and earth god. They have a character marked on their divine souls, which are soil, boundary, border, domain, god. We determine their status in the Dao Palace through these marks. Soil generally is a gopher, the little pawn, while boundary manages the pawns. Every city's Dao Palace branch leader is generally boundary, and the Dao envoy's identity is border. Their power surpasses the leaders of each city's Dao Palace branches. Li Qianluo introduced the matters of the Dao Palace in detail to Xiang Beifei, giving him a general understanding. You see, they've sent quite a few soil to capture us humans. Generally, aside from border, domain, and god, others are insignificant. To become a border, one's cultivation must at least be in the Inquiry Dao period. Domain certainly reaches the Ascension realm, and Earth God is absolutely in the Ancestral Dao realm. Li Qianluo said. I see. With this explanation, Xiang Beifei could differentiate them. However, he was still puzzled that Li Qianluo could also see others' divine souls, which was quite intriguing. His ability to see divine souls was due to his yin and yang primordial qi, but what about Li Qianluo? As Xiang Beifei walked along the street, he carefully sensed and quickly assessed the number of people from the Dao Palace ambushed in Jingxi City. The Dao Palace had sent 3 Ascension Realm experts and 8 Inquiry Dao Realm masters. Outside the city, there was 1 Ascension Realm and 6 Inquiry Dao Realms. Inside the city, there were 2 Ascension Realms and 2 Inquiry Dao Realms. As for those in the Immortal Realm, there were at least 80. Some of them were experts from other races here, while the rest were all from the Dao Palace, extremely hidden. Feifei, I found Chu Shi, right at the central square of the city, over on the Dao Palace's side. Xiaohei's voice rang in Xiang Beifei's mind. I'm heading over now. Xiang Beifei signaled to Li Qianluo, then immediately moved in that direction. At this moment, the square was also packed with people. Many E-tribe cultivators were stopping to watch, looking at the person suspended in the air over the square. It was a 10-year-old boy, his hands tied in mid-air by 2 rings formed from breath soil. He appeared listless, lips pale, with a few scars on his face deep enough to reveal bone, eyes slightly closed, looking as if he had undergone immense torture. Seeing the little boy covered in bruises, Xiang Beifei's gaze turned cold. A 10-year-old child, who hadn't even begun to cultivate spiritual power, was being tortured like this. Xiaohei hopped back onto Xiang Beifei's shoulder, saying, He's still alive. Alive but barely breathing. Damn it! So ruthless even towards a child. Li Qianluo clenched his fists, eyes flickering with anger. Xiang Beifei looked around. There were powerful formation patterns surrounding them, and Ascension Realm spiritual power had tightly locked onto little Chu Shi. If even a fly approached, it would likely be met with a devastating strike. People came and went around them, with many cultivators stopping to watch the little boy suspended in the air. Some people were also discussing among themselves. I heard this little kid is from the human race caught by the Tao Palace. But he's so young, is it right for the Tao Palace to kill him? A short old man with a cane asked. The Tao Palace has already issued a statement. This is not just a kid, but a human race immortal realm expert who's lived for thousands of years. Don't be fooled by his appearance. Really? An immortal realm expert? He sure doesn't look like one. Shows how little you know. In the edge corner airspace, you should never judge by appearances. You should know many races molt during cultivation, rebirthing into a young child from an aged-old form. This happens all the time. But I've never heard of the human race molting. The human race is a very sinister race. It's said they can learn any race's spells. To learn the unique heavenly Tao of other races, they'll capture and refine the divine soul of experts from that race, claiming it for themselves. Truly wicked. No need to think about it. This little boy surely learned some sort of rejuvenation technique. His real appearance is nothing like this, a burly man vowed. Exactly, rumor has it the human race sent this person to kidnap experts from the Divine Sense Tao tribe to cultivate Divine Sense Tao, but was caught in time by the Tao Palace, almost killing and devouring Tao envoy Gu Hengzi's divine soul. The human race is too vicious. To cultivate others' Tao, they resort to such underhanded tricks. This human looking like a child truly deserves his fate. No doubt about it. We must all be careful when dealing with the human race. There's a reason they're wanted by the Tao Palace. They strengthen their cultivation by devouring the heavenly Tao of other races. Cultivating is hard enough. Beware of getting targeted. If you discover a human race member, you must not hesitate. The chatter was endless, extremely grating. Xiang Beifei's brows furrowed deeply. The Tao Palace went to great lengths to defame the human race, painting even white as black. Chu Shi, clearly only a 10-year-old child, was forcefully portrayed by the Tao Palace as an age-reversing immortal expert. Such rumors perpetuated among various races in the edge corner airspace, making the human race the evil faction committing myriad sins. Unfortunately, the human race was too weak. Even when wrongly accused, they couldn't explain themselves. The Tao Palace's influence in the edge corner airspace is too vast. To clear the human race of these baseless slanders is extremely difficult. Li Qianluo couldn't help but say. Regardless of that, we need to find a way to save Chu Shi. Xiang Beifei looked at the barely breathing little Chu Shi. Saving him was of utmost importance now. Do you have any ideas? Li Qianluo asked. Xiang Beifei looked down at the breath soil beneath him, which was under the Tao Palace's control, firmly linked by the formation. He then gazed at the distant, majestic Tao Palace building, lost in thought. The Tao Palace's architecture is majestic and solemn, the center of the formation controlling the entire Jingxi city. Within the Tao Palace, a few powerful auras lie hidden. Xiaohe has already investigated, and there are 2 Ascended Realm experts lurking inside. For Xiang Beifei, the trap formations of the Tao Palace are not the focus. The focus is the Ascended Realm experts. Moreover, the Tao Palace gave a lot of face by sending 3. 1 is in charge outside, and 2 inside, giving no chance whatsoever. They inquired from others and found out that the Tao Palace set the date for Chu Shi's execution at dusk, which is roughly 2 hours from now. I find it odd that the Tao Palace would send 3 experts this time. Are they so sure we would come to save him? Usually, humans never come for rescues, and they should know that, Li Qianluo said, puzzled. The human race is currently unable to protect itself. To avoid losing more people, the elders have strictly forbidden any rescue attempts. Chu Shi is not the first human captured, and many have been publicly executed by the Tao Palace without any rescue attempts. Logically, when human rescues become a rule, the Tao Palace should know this, making public executions a formality. Maybe because he's a child? They think humans would come to save a child. Xiaohe speculated. An untrained child is actually, to put it bluntly, insignificant among humans. Humans wouldn't risk many immortal realm and ascended realm elders to save a child. And the Dao Palace would know this, Li Qianluo said. You mentioned the key point, Xiang Beifei, who had been pondering this issue, said. Perhaps Xiao Chu Shi is not insignificant. But Xiao Chu Shi is just a normal child for us humans, Li Qianluo stated. Chu Jun, as Xiao Chu Shi's grandfather, had given up hope for rescue. If Xiao Chu Shi was indeed crucial, they would have known earlier. The point is not whether he is an ordinary human child, but how the Dao Palace views him. Perhaps he has learned some secret, and the Dao Palace mistakenly believes he is vital to the human race, Xiang Beifei said. If that's the case, then it's troubling because we are indeed here, and fighting head-on with 3 domain-level masters would be disadvantageous, Li Qianluo said, stroking his chin. We don't need to fight them head-on. Xiang Beifei walked a circle around the Dao Palace, familiarizing himself with the terrain, and then turned into a small alley where there were relatively fewer people. I understand. Your plan is to create a diversion. Li Qianluo clenched his right fist and hit the palm of his hand. But how exactly? I only thought of a diversion, leading the tiger away from the mountain, but I'm not sure how to achieve it. Li Qianluo laughed awkwardly, scratching his head. Xiang Beifei squatted on the ground, tapping the solid bricks that covered the earth. These bricks were densely packed with breath soil, protected tightly by formations, making it impossible for ordinary people to covet the breath soil. But Xiang Beifei was different. With a gentle dig, he directly pried a brick composed of condensed breath soil from the ground and weighed it in his hand. Li Qianluo's eyes lit up, and he said, Right, you can control breath soil. The entire city is made of breath soil. The other side can control breath soil too. They belong to the Hutu tribe, Xiang Beifei said. The Great Witch clan trains specifically in the Hutu Dao, especially with the Ascended Realm Expert Station, so their control over breath soil is strong, if not stronger. That's true, and come to think of it, wood restrains earth. We forgot to bring Xiao Jianjian, Li Qianluo said regretfully. As a Jianmu of the Zhu-Mang tribe of the Wood Dao race, Era is as formidable as breath soil. However, Xiang Beifei had him guard the base, so Era did not come. Yumong popped his head out of Xiang Beifei's pocket, stretching a sprig of tender green leaves, indicating that he, too, was made of wood and could be helpful. Little Yu, your strength is too low. Li Qianluo fondly rubbed Yumong's head. Yumong protested in a childlike voice. Not low, not low. I'm also at the Heavenly Connection realm. He had been learning human speech and by now could speak quite fluently. For the past few years, Yumong had been following Xiang Beifei, absorbing the spiritual power that leaked from Xiang Beifei's cultivation. In addition, Xiang Beifei installed a stronger when encountering the strong system for him. As Xiang Beifei traveled through edge-corner airspace meeting formidable opponents, Yumong silently gained strength, advancing to the late stage of the Heavenly Connection realm. Even if you're at the Heavenly Connection realm, you still can't resist breath soil, right? Li Qianluo said. Not exactly. Little Yumong can resist breath soil slightly, Xiang Beifei said. But he belongs to the Mu Yumeng clan, which practices the Wood Dao, and he needs to ascend to reach the same level as Jianmu, right? Li Qianluo said in surprise. He is different from ordinary Mu Yumeng. The spiritual power Yumong cultivated came from Xiang Beifei, which destined him to surpass his peers. Additionally, even though Era occasionally bullied him, he also helped Yumong train. Under Era's subtle influence, Yumong's body had long started developing towards a Jianmu physique. When needed, Yumong could still provide a little help. Ordinarily, the Dao Palace's influence is quite strong, and if we act, even typical experts might intervene to assist the Dao Palace, and these people also would be troublesome, Li Qianluo said. It's okay. I've taken all these people into consideration. My plan is like this. Before Xiang Beifei arrived, he already had a rough plan in mind. After Li Qianluo told him how to identify Dao Palace individuals, it became much easier to determine how Dao Palace personnel were distributed in Jingxi City. Jingxi City, Dao Palace Division. This city belongs to a rather remote area. If it hadn't been for capturing a human boy, formidable experts from the Ascension realm wouldn't have come here at all. At this moment in the Great Hall of Dao Palace, there are two formidable experts seated cross-legged in the void. A man and a woman. The man has a jade-like face, looking extremely young, dressed in a yellow Dao robe, white dust floating around him. These are special breath soil, making him look extremely sacred, very peculiar. Wu Yumin, a domain-level elder of Dao Palace, Mid-Ascension Realm. The woman is graceful and charming. Her hair is hazy, like golden dust forming, undulating behind her. The aura she exudes is extremely noble, golden and brilliant, like a celestial maiden on earth. Wu Qiuhong, a domain-level elder of Dao Palace, Mid-Ascension Realm. These two, despite their youthful appearance, are actually old monsters over 10,000 years old. Below them stand three experts in the inquiring Dao stage, one of whom is Gu Hengzi. Gu Hengzi, how is the situation? Wu Yumin spoke. When he speaks, his voice is like a grand bell, extremely loud, with a reverberating echo, immensely solemn. Reporting to the master, I have confirmed. Everything is normal. Everyone entering and leaving Jingxi City undergoes strict scrutiny. As of now, no suspicious individuals have been discovered. The entire city is under our control. Should they dare come rescue, they won't leave here alive. Gu Hengzi stepped up and bowed. Currently, the remnants of the human race are naturally not to be feared. You know what we are guarding against. Wu Yumin said. Gu Hengzi seemed to remember something, his expression slightly stern. Subordinate understands. Very soon, Gu Hengzi and the others withdrew and then concealed themselves in the void. Yet everyone's focus rested on the human boy suspended in mid-air, wholly attentive. They planned to publicly execute this child, not only to intimidate humans but also to warn those other races harboring intentions against Dao Palace. Anyone dare associating even slightly with humans will face ruthless consequences. But what Dao Palace didn't anticipate was chaos suddenly erupted on a street in Jingxi City. Dao Stone. Jingxi City has unexpectedly witnessed the appearance of another Dao Stone. The reputation of Dao Stone has long been disseminated. It contains Dao embryos realized at the Ascension stage, engraved on the stone. Even for those in the inquiring Dao stage, it can have immense influence, greatly enhancing their understanding of their innate heavenly Dao, advancing their level. This time, the appeared Dao Stone bears the character Zhi. Most bizarre is, this Dao Stone appeared suddenly on the street, as though it was dropped by someone. Its end result is it floats mid-air. This means it is an ownerless object. An ownerless object is not merely for auction. Everyone's eyes revealed greed towards this Dao Stone, not leaving it out of sight. The Zhi character on the Dao Stone is magnificent and vast. Every stroke seemingly reflects the mindset of the original owner. Looking at this character is like witnessing a wise elder passionately driving forward with the righteousness of the world as their duty, vast-hearted, benevolent to all. The character has such profound meaning. Those on the street glimpse it once, deeply immersed, wandering in the breadth of benevolence and righteousness of this mighty world. This Dao Stone is mine. A bearded man reacted first, immediately reaching out towards the Dao Stone. However, others also snapped out of the meaning, seeing that someone actually wanted to claim it all to themselves. How could this be tolerated? Bold! I saw this Dao Stone first. Another elderly woman shouted, tilting her cane, slashing through, intending to claim the Dao Stone for herself. You saw it first, it's yours? I say I saw it first. The bearded man, also having the strength of the immortal realm, doesn't fear the elderly woman. With a backhand sweep, strands of sword chi meet the elderly woman's cane. Seen by many, you all don't think you can claim this Dao Stone for yourselves. Again, two young men joined forces. In no time, the entire street descended into chaos. With someone making a move, others wanted to exploit the situation. But it wasn't just one person trying to fish in troubled waters. Everyone was wary of each other, striking out together. In the blink of an eye, violent spiritual power shook the entire street, and everyone suddenly became agitated for the sake of this Dao Stone. The realm contained within the Tao Stone was too enticing for these masters of the heavenly connection and immortal realm. The Tao embryos it contained were versatile. No matter which race or what aspect of the heavenly Tao one practiced, everyone could find their own insights in this Tao Stone. If this Tao Stone had a clear owner, they might have restrained themselves a little, not daring to openly snatch it on the street. But now that the Tao Stone clearly had no definite owner, naturally, everyone wanted a share. Boom! Boom! Spiritual power exploded everywhere, turning the entire street into a smoky mess. A group of people began to fight fiercely, with shouts, winds, flames, ice cannons, sword chi. Everyone went mad over this Tao Stone. What's happening? The events here couldn't be hidden from the two domain elders in the Tao Palace Hall. Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong exchanged a glance, and their divine sense immediately extended to the place of chaos in the city, where they quickly saw countless cultivators starting to fight. Outrageous! How dare they make a move in the city? Wu Yumin said in a deep voice. The Tao Palace had rules that no one was allowed to fight in the city regardless of any grievances, or they would suffer punishment from the Tao Palace. This was something every race knew, but somehow, these people had the audacity to break the rules. Be careful. It might be a diversion by the human race. Wu Qiuhong recalled something, focusing her attention again on the human child hanging in midair. After all, she had lived for thousands of years. The timing of the chaos was too abrupt, making her easily think of the hidden possibilities within. But suddenly, Wu Yumin was stunned, as if seeing something, with an expression of disbelief in his eyes. This Tao Stone, the Ren character Tao Stone. Back then, Gu Hengzi collected 3 Tao Stones. After comprehending them, he offered them to Wu Yumin to curry favor, and Wu Yumin accepted without hesitation. After obtaining the characters Tian, Heaven, Tao Wei, and Bu, Not. Even Wu Yumin felt inferior when comprehending these Tao embryos. Both being in the Ascension realm, he felt he couldn't compare at all to that great predecessor. Could be said that the Huta Dao he practiced was also integrated into the Tao Stone, yielding him insights, so when he saw the 4th Tao Stone today, he was momentarily taken aback. Wu Yumin stared at that Tao Stone. For some reason, his mind suddenly connected the 4 Tao Stones together. Tao Bu, Tian, Ren. No, its heavenly Tao is unkind. Ding. When Wu Yumin slowly read out the 4 words, heavenly Tao is unkind, it was as if a light suddenly flashed in his mind, connecting his past insights into the Tao Stone. Heavenly Tao is unkind? Heavenly Tao is unkind. When Wu Yumin thought of these 4 words, he seemed to have an epiphany, his entire demeanor becoming extremely shocked. Many people believed this Tao Stone was left by an Ascension Realm powerhouse, including Wu Yumin himself. But when he saw this Ren character Tao Stone today and combined the 4 characters, he felt something was off. These 4 words combined seemed to understand the myriad of things under heaven, directing the heavenly Tao, a level of insight only someone who had mastered Tao to the extreme would possess. The Ascension Realm could not possibly comprehend such a profound realm. This is a Tao Stone left by an ancestral Tao Realm powerhouse. Wu Yumin was utterly shocked. Ancestral Tao Realm? Wu Qiuhong had seen the 3 Tao Stones with Wu Yumin before. Quickly, she too noticed the Tao Stone floating above the street, as everyone clashed around it. Upon careful observation, she immediately understood why Wu Yumin was so shocked. Not just Wu Yumin, even she herself showed a look of astonishment. Tao Stone. This Tao Stone was left by an ancestral Tao Realm master. Both Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong's expressions became serious. Ascension Realm Tao Stones were significant, but those of the Ancestral Tao Realm were extraordinary. Ancestral Tao Realm. Even in the Tao Palace, true masters of the Ancestral Tao Realm are as rare as phoenix feathers, usually appearing like fleeting shadows, and such figures are not ones you can simply meet, let alone receive guidance from an Ancestral Tao expert. But now, suddenly 4 Tao Stones have appeared, and these magnificent Tao Stones are evidently left by an Ancestral Tao expert. I must obtain this Tao Stone. Wu Yumin decided immediately. Wait. The appearance of the Tao Stone is no coincidence. There might be deception. Wu Qiuhong promptly warned. Wu Yumin was also slightly startled. The sudden appearance of the Dao stone had entranced him, and he almost forgot the matter at hand. Gu Hengzi! Here, sir. Go and quell the chaos on the street, and simultaneously secure this Dao stone. Understood, sir. Gu Hengzi immediately took the order, turned around, and stepped out, disappearing from the grand hall. Xiang Beifei stood not far away, observing the battle. Now his power had reached the Inquiry Dao realm, and with his control and understanding of Dao, he could completely elevate the Dao embryos on the Dao stone to another level. As for the cultivators on the street, driven to madness over the Dao stone, even disregarding the rules set by the Dao Palace, the main reason lies in his application of the respected as a criterion ability on the character Ren. This means that those whose cultivation hasn't surpassed Xiang Beifei, once they begin to comprehend the Dao embryos on this Dao stone, would unknowingly be drawn into Xiang Beifei's respected as a criterion ability. And it was precisely Xiang Beifei's respected as a criterion that drove all the cultivators on this street into a frenzy, disregarding even the rules of the Dao Palace. The appearance of the Dao stone on the street stirred up a commotion that spread far, drawing in people from other streets who also noticed the anomaly, and they soon became entranced by the Dao stone suspended in midair. This Dao stone acted like a giant signal transmitter, endlessly broadcasting Xiang Beifei's respected as a criterion ability into the eyes of everyone who saw the Dao stone. These people couldn't resist Xiang Beifei's power and unknowingly became completely overwhelmed. This Dao stone is mine. No one else better try to take it from me. More and more cultivators forgot about the Dao Palace's rule against fighting within the city, and the scene became completely chaotic. Everyone, stop! A figure descended from the sky, their voice thundering through the air, exuding a powerful aura that overwhelmed everyone, suppressing them instantly. Gu Hengzi! Not everyone knew of Gu Hengzi, but the formidable aura of the Inquiry Dao realm emanating from him subdued the crowd. As Jingxi City had virtually no Inquiry Dao masters other than those from the Dao Palace. With Gu Hengzi's arrival, he immediately took control of the situation. I am Gu Hengzi, a Dao envoy of the Dao Palace. This is Jingxi City, and the Dao Palace has explicitly prohibited fighting within the city. Do any of you intend to violate the Dao Palace's decrees? Gu Hengzi scanned the crowd, his Inquiry Dao aura like a tidal wave, suppressing everyone. Yet Gu Hengzi could suppress their bodies but not their voices. Soon, someone shouted, "So what about the Dao Palace? Do you intend to monopolize this Dao stone?" That's right. It's an unclaimed item, not belonging to the Dao Palace. Treasure belongs to those destined for it. Yes, the Dao Palace can't have it all to themselves. Under Xiang Beifei's influence, these people's minds had completely forgotten the authority of the Dao Palace, their courage swelling, utterly disregarding the Dao Palace, and more people began to clamor and challenge Gu Hengzi. Anger flickered in Gu Hengzi's eyes. These people obviously had no regard for the Dao Palace. It was simply rebellion. However, when his gaze inadvertently fell on the Ren character Dao Stone, he was suddenly entranced as well. He too was drawn into the aura of this Dao Stone, and more bizarrely he suddenly felt Dao Palace? What a joke! He toiled tirelessly to handle the Dao Palace's affairs, and yet he had to curry favor with Wu Yumin, offering the hard-won Dao stones in the end. The Dao Palace was indeed hateful. Incredible resentment towards the Dao Palace unknowingly formed in Gu Hengzi's mind, as if the Dao Palace were his mortal enemy, and he wanted nothing more than to tear Dao Palace's decrees apart with his own hands. To hell with the Dao Palace! This Dao stone is mine! Gu Hengzi shouted loudly. His shout stunned everyone. Even Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong, who had been closely monitoring the situation, turned deadly pale. Had Gu Hengzi lost his mind? No one knew why Gu Hengzi would suddenly speak so out of character, but only Xiang Beifei understood perfectly. Dao Enforcer, Gu Hengzi, Dao Embryo, Divine Sense Dao, Dao Practice, beginning of the Inquiry Dao realm. You have comprehended the Dao embryos on the Dao stone, Divine Sense value plus 5,674. The most critical mistake Gu Hengzi made was comprehending Xiang Beifei's Dao stone. Once Gu Hengzi fully grasped Xiang Beifei's Dao embryos, it was equivalent to allowing Xiang Beifei to partake in his cultivation of the heavenly Dao laws. Thus Xiang Beifei could effortlessly control Gu Hengzi. As for Wu Qiuhong and Wu Yumin, although they had also comprehended Xiang Beifei's Dao stone, their levels were higher, and Xiang Beifei had not attempted to guide them, as that would take time. Subsequently, everyone once again fell into madness. You're full of shit. I knew you Dao Palace have ill intentions, wanting to hog the treasure all for yourselves. I absolutely won't let you succeed. Everyone started clamoring again. You want to fight me for the Dao stone? Then I'll send you on your way. Gu Hengzi shouted coldly, and with a reverse palm strike, he was about to annihilate those people. Stop! Wu Yumin immediately realized what was happening and was about to intervene. If the out-of-control Gu Hengzi began a killing spree, the prestige of Dao Palace would be questioned. But Wu Qiuhong shouted, Wait! Something's not right. Don't make a move. He might be confused by someone. The enemy is probably in our position, waiting to rescue while we're distracted. Wu Qiuhong kept her attention on the human child Chu Shi from the beginning, being very cautious. She was always watching over Chu Shi. Wu Yumin gritted his teeth and did not intervene. He immediately ordered other Inquiry Dao Realms border-level elders of the Dao Palace to take action. Fortunately at this time, Jingxi City did not lack border-level elders. Without needing Wu Yumin to act, those Inquiry Dao Realm experts went out to intercept Gu Hengzi. Gu Hengzi, don't act rashly, one of the elders in the Inquiry Dao Realm shouted. Rushing towards Gu Hengzi, taking on Gu Hengzi's attack. Gu Hengzi was instantly furious, his eyes faintly glowing with a red light, shouted at his colleague. You also want to fight me for the Dao stone? I'll kill you first. Bang! The violent aura instantly blasted towards the border-level elder of the Inquiry Dao Realm. His strike was not something those immortal realm experts could compare with earlier. The Inquiry Dao Realm's attack shattered the houses in an instant. Gu Hengzi, have you gone mad? The border-level elder in the Inquiry Dao Realm shouted. But Gu Hengzi gave no chance for the opponent to explain, unleashing a barrage of attacks on that elder. His attacks were deflected, all smashing into the ground. Crack, crack, crack. To everyone's shock, when Gu Hengzi's attack hit the ground, the formation originally condensed from powerful breath soil shattered. Countless breath soil collapsed, and the streets suspended in the void immediately crumbled. Rumble. As if triggering a chain reaction, the buildings and streets of the entire Jingxi City cracked and collapsed. How did Jingxi City get destroyed? Everyone in Dao Palace was dumbfounded. The breath soil formation of every city is indestructible. Even Ascension Realm experts cannot destroy it. Yet no one expected, with one sudden strike, Gu Hengzi shattered the city into dust. There were still many experts from the Great Witch Clan. When they saw the breath soil collapse, they didn't hesitate, immediately using their ability to control the breath soil to try to stop the fracturing trend. But suddenly countless tender green branches and roots spread within the breath soil. These branches and roots, though insignificant, grew densely within the breath soil, hindering the Great Witch Clan experts from repairing the breath soil. Crack, crack, crack. The entire Jingxi City was utterly destroyed. Many cultivators still inside the houses rushed out in a hurry. Fortunately, the basic strength of people in Jingxi City was at least in the orifice transforming period. They quickly flew towards the sky. The collapse of the city didn't kill them. But Gu Hengzi didn't care what was happening. His eyes were now only on the Dao stone, wanting to claim it for himself. Anyone trying to stop him was an enemy. Gu Hengzi's strength wasn't weak. Even other border-level elders couldn't take him down alone. Soon a few more Inquiry Dao period elders rushed in, preparing to join forces to subdue Gu Hengzi. But it wasn't just Gu Hengzi affected by the Dao stone. Suddenly two relatively weaker Inquiry Dao realm experts also started roaring. Without a word they lashed out at their companions. These two weakest elders were easily influenced, and other elders could not avoid it. They were immediately severely injured. The scene became even more chaotic. Stop! All of you stop! Wu Yumin could no longer remain calm. He initially planned to let his subordinates control the scene, guard behind the scenes himself, waiting for the mastermind behind this chaos to show up, and then eliminate them all at once. But now the situation was completely out of control. His subordinates somehow started fighting each other. If this continued, the mastermind behind this chaos might not even reveal themselves before they self-destruct first. Terrifying Ascension Realm aura rolled in, about to suppress the entire city. But just as Wu Yumin was about to take action, buzz, the sky turned dark. Everything returned to silence, like being thrown into an abyss, where all senses are blocked by darkness. Not good. It's indeed a trap. Even Wu Yumin was momentarily affected by this darkness, unable to distinguish direction, unsure where to strike. However, Wu Qiuhong reacted extremely fast. Even during the chaos, her attention never wavered from Chu Shi. As soon as it got dark, she immediately dashed out, appearing beside Chu Shi in an instant. The speed of the Ascension Realm is extremely fast, especially since Wu Qiuhong was already prepared. Even though her perception was blocked by Candle Dragon Eye, she instantly appeared beside Chu Shi, ready to snatch him away. Take this righteous iron fist of mine. In the darkness, Li Qianluo also rushed over, throwing a punch at Wu Qiuhong. Bam! Li Qianluo's punch landed on Wu Qiuhong's forehead. Her strength was immense, and she had calculated the position of Wu Qiuhong's appearance perfectly before striking. Wu Qiuhong was furious after being inexplicably punched on the forehead. However, as a master of the Ascension Realm, her defensive power was very strong, and the punch only made her head ache slightly, not enough to knock her out. You're courting death. The spiritual power on Wu Qiuhong suddenly erupted. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Even though she couldn't see clearly in the darkness, she could still manipulate her breath soil towards the direction of Li Qianluo's attack. But Li Qianluo had already retreated. After delivering the punch, she immediately ran away, not intending to follow up with another blow, fleeing quickly. Meanwhile, on the other side, Xiang Beifei's hand trembled slightly as Wufeng, the broken sword, was drawn out, slashing towards Wu Qiuhong. Even with the Candle Dragon Eye activated, Xiang Beifei couldn't perceive the opponent's position. However, from the beginning, everything was within his plan. He had calculated that either Wu Qiuhong or Wu Yumin would definitely come to grab Chu Shi, so he coordinated perfectly with Li Qianluo. Li Qianluo threw a punch and fled to the left, naturally drawing Wu Qiuhong's attention in that direction, while Xiang Beifei's Wufeng slashed in from the right, hitting the hand holding Chu Shi. Wufeng was covered with golden formation patterns like bricks, mixed with powerful force, slashing at Wu Qiuhong's defense, while the golden patterns swiftly flowed along the sword light towards Wu Qiuhong's defense. Wu Qiuhong immediately sensed danger, feeling a great threat from the golden formation patterns. You're courting death. Wu Qiuhong let out a low growl, her aura suddenly bursting, breaking free from the golden patterns. However, as soon as she broke free, Chu Shi was released. Xiaohe, who had been crouching on Chu Shi, immediately grabbed Chu Shi as soon as he slipped from Wu Qiuhong's grasp, rushing in another direction. Damn it! Wu Qiuhong had not anticipated that the opponent would use such a bizarre method against her, nor did she expect that they would manage to rescue Chu Shi from her hands. This was an immense humiliation for her. Bear in mind, from Li Qianluo's righteous iron fist to Xiang Beifei's Wufeng sword light, the combined might could only pass as an attack of the Inquiry Dao realm, yet ironically she, a dignified master in the Ascension realm, failed against people at the Inquiry Dao realm. If this got out, where would her face as the elder of the domain go? But Xiang Beifei came prepared, having calculated each step clearly. They relied on the Candle Dragon Eye, not needing perception themselves, only relying on memory to complete the entire rescue operation. Although Wu Qiuhong was very vigilant and caught Chu Shi instantly, the Candle Dragon Eye caught her off guard, causing her to lose her composure. By the time she came to her senses, she remained shrouded in darkness, utterly clueless about which direction to chase, almost making her spit blood. I won't let you go, she roared, striking towards the side she felt Chu Shi was most likely to escape. Bam! Her attack hit against a mighty spiritual power. Now she understood. The opponent's ability to resist her attack meant the defense ahead was of the Ascension Realm. Sent an Ascension Realm Master? Then I shall kill you. Without saying another word, Wu Qiuhong pounded furiously at the Ascension Realm opponent. Little did she know, the target she was attacking was in fact Wu Yumin. Wu Yumin was engulfed by the sudden darkness, causing him to lose his perception of the surroundings in an instant. However, being a seasoned expert, he didn't panic at all. Realizing immediately that someone must be trying to rescue that human race little boy, he halted his movement, immediately shifting towards the direction of the human race little boy. For him, who is in the Ascension Realm even without perception, he had a fairly accurate judgment of the distance and dimensions of the entire city in his mind. But just as he was about to get closer, a very fierce attack came from the left and hit him, launched by an expert in the mid-inquiry Dao realm. Such an attack, of course, couldn't penetrate his defense. At first, he thought it might have been Gu Hengzi or other border-level elders who accidentally struck him after losing their perception. However, upon closer comparison, this attack felt very unfamiliar, definitely not from his own people. A stranger's breath. It's a member of the human race. Wu Yumin immediately thought of this because all experts entering and leaving Jingxi City were registered, and he was well aware of the strength of his subordinates. But the owner of this attack was definitely not within his familiar range, immediately being identified as an expert here to rescue the human race little boy. His eyes revealed a strong killing intent as he charged towards the original master of the attack on the left. However, that person would retreat as soon as they collided, not intending to stay and fight. But with his rich combat experience, he knew very well where the opponent's retreat direction would be if they attacked like this. He immediately adjusted his direction, chasing after the opponent. But he hadn't gotten far when an even more terrifying force struck him, almost blasting him away. Mid-Ascension Realm. There's actually an Ascension Realm expert ambushing. Wu Yumin quickly adjusted his posture, let out a cold shout, and attacked the opponent. Boom! The two Mid-Ascension Realm strikes collided, causing the heavens to collapse, and the violent spiritual power fluctuations erupted fiercely. Wu Yumin hadn't expected that his target was actually Wu Qiuhong. Logically, both sides know each other well. They should be clear about each other's attack characteristics. If it was just a misunderstanding, both Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong would instantly realize that the opponent was one of their own. However, the biggest mistake they made was that both Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong had comprehended Xiang Beifei's Dao Stone. Gu Hengzi had offered 3 Dao Stones to Wu Yumin. Because of his close relationship with Wu Yumin, Wu Qiuhong also studied the Dao Stones, merging Xiang Beifei's Dao embryos into their acquired heavenly Dao cultivation. Their cultivation was stronger than Xiang Beifei, and Xiang Beifei couldn't use this Dao embryo to defeat them, but he could interfere with their perception. This means that whether it's Wu Yumin or Wu Qiuhong, if they can't see each other, they simply cannot recognize who the other is. And now, both domain-level elders of the Dao Palace marked each other as formidable foes. So without a word, they decisively struck, determined not to stop until the opponent was beaten to death. In an instant, spiritual power exploded violently in the darkness. However, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were obviously measured because the city is the foundation of their Dao Palace. Additionally, there are quite a few of their own people here. If they fought without restraint, they might kill all their own people too. So while fighting, these two intentionally or unintentionally moved towards the void outside the city. Without any concerns there, they could go all out to kill the opponent. Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were leading each other towards the void. But this time, 3 Ascension Realm experts and a domain-level elder were lying in ambush outside Jingxi City. The domain-level elder lying in ambush outside the city was named Wu Keshi. His strength was slightly lower than the 2 inside the city, being only at the early Ascension Realm, responsible for leading 6 Inquiry Dao Realm experts to reinforce the formation. This formation was named Endless Hutu, a very formidable trapping formation. An early Ascension Realm expert reinforced the formation while 6 Inquiry Dao Realm experts guarded it, each holding a position. Utilizing the Breath Soil's protection, it wasn't simply adding up their power. They relied on the Tao Palace's unique formation secrets, combined with a powerful spiritual power foundation as guidance, making its power enough to overawe the late Ascension realm. Once inside, even a mid-Ascension realm could not break through. Wu Kexi immediately became aware when chaos broke out in Jingxi City. However, due to their preparation for a rescue by the human race, the responsibilities were clearly defined. No matter how chaotic it got inside the city, Wu Kexi would never leave his post. This was the unwavering dedication of Tao Palace experts. Pay attention. No matter what happens, don't let yourself be confused, guard your duties, and don't let the traitors in the city escape. Wu Kexi shouted to the 6 Inquiry Tao Realm elders. Yes, sir. The 6 Inquiry Tao Realm experts responded in unison. As soon as chaos broke out in the city, they unanimously activated the formation, injecting their spiritual power into it, forming a powerful trapping and killing formation, not letting even half a mosquito fly out. Then the sky began to darken. The range of Xiang Beifei's Candle Dragon Eye was limited, only dragging Jingxi City into darkness. And the endless Hutu formation in the high sky outside Jingxi City was not affected. So in Wu Kexi's eyes, the city suddenly plunged into darkness, as if the whole city was shrouded in a black mist. The most bizarre thing is, this darkness is pure black. His perception, once integrated into it, gets directly swallowed, so he cannot clearly ascertain what exactly is going on in the darkness. At this moment, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong planned to leave Jingxi City, luring their opponents into the void to kill them. What they didn't know was that Xiang Beifei had been following alongside them, manipulating the Candle Dragon Eye to move the center of darkness towards the void. The Candle Dragon Eye is very strange. It shields others and itself, thus Xiang Beifei also gets limited. However, after he disrupted Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong, he too enhanced his defenses to withstand the aftermath of their clashing powers. Xiang Beifei, now at the Inquiry Tao realm, has a deeper understanding and control of the Candle Dragon Eye. He can ascertain the approximate position of his opponents using the power and momentum of the spiritual power shockwave hitting him. When he realized the opponents were trying to move into the void, he immediately understood Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong's plan. As the opponents intended to withdraw, how could he stop them? And so, he followed upwards. Above, Wu Kexi saw a mass of moving darkness rushing towards him. He had no idea what this darkness harbored, but instantly thought that the opponents intended to use the perceptual shielding of the darkness to escape. Trying to escape? You'll have to get past me first. Wu Kexi sneered coldly and immediately injected a powerful surge of spiritual power into the endless Hutu formation, instantly weaving mighty brown formations in the void. These formations, comprised of breath soil, converged, being twice as robust as the land structure of Jingxi City. Recognizing the order, the other 6 Inquiry Tao guards immediately infused strong spiritual power into the formation. Buzz! The formation suddenly vibrated, resonating with sharp, far-reaching tremors. These conjoined breaths of soil, with Wu Kexi as the focal point, concentrated all their power onto him. Divine Soil, Merciful Hand! Wu Kexi shouted powerfully. Rumble! In the void, a gigantic hand stretched thousands of feet, covering the sky with its brilliance, as if tearing a rift in the void. This hand, merged with the secret arts of breath soil, wielded the power of late Ascension realm. Boom! The Divine Soil Merciful Hand pounded down, entering the darkness of the Candle Dragon Eye. Wu Kexi didn't need to bother with what lurked in the darkness. He executed an all-encompassing attack. The Divine Soil Merciful Hand's greatest feature is its ability to differentiate friend from foe. Merciless to enemies, merciful to allies. Everyone entering the breath soil had been meticulously logged, marked with the Tao Palace's insignia, meaning that when this palm descended, ordinary folks wouldn't be harmed, but those without the Tao Palace mark would be doomed. Wu Kexi also knew that Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were likely within the darkness, but they bore the Tao Palace marks, rendering the Divine Soil Merciful Hand ineffective on them, which assured him. Little did he know, Xiang Beifei had long been aware of this secret. Li Qianluo had informed him of the peculiarities of the Divine Soil Merciful Hand early on. This girl was powerful and knowledgeable in many of the Tao Palace's capabilities, which prepared Xiang Beifei well. He utilized yin and yang primal energy to mimic the Tao Palace mark, camouflaging Li Qianluo and Chu Shi, nullifying the divine soil merciful hand's effect on them. However, it was a different story when it struck Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong. Using the aftermath of Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong's battle, Xiang Beifei determined their positions, and when the divine soil merciful hand struck, he had long since gathered yin and yang primal energy to disrupt the breath of the two above them. This meant the Tao Palace marks on Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were rendered invalid, making them unmarked invaders to the divine soil merciful hand. Boom! Boom! The divine soil merciful hand crashed into the darkness. Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong, thinking their marks remained intact, weren't concerned that the hand would harm them, neglecting defense. Consequently, the terrifying large hand struck them directly. In the midst of their fierce confrontation, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong never expected the divine soil merciful hand to be effective against them. The blow hit them hard, causing them to copiously spit blood, their souls shaken, their bodies crumbling, suffering severe injuries. This is the divine soil merciful hand. How could it wound us? Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were utterly shocked. The blow nearly halved their lives. They couldn't fathom why they were hit by the divine soil merciful hand. Even if Wu Kashi were blind, he wouldn't let it harm them. Where did it go wrong? Yet, it wasn't just them who suffered grave injuries, but all Tao Palace experts in the city, because the divine soil merciful hand was a group attack. Interfering with Wu Yumin's and Wu Qiuhong's Tao Palace marks required real-time interference by Xiang Beifei, whereas others didn't need such effort. Upon learning of the divine soil merciful hand, from Li Qianluo, Xiang Beifei located all Tao Palace experts. Barring the 3 domain-level elders of Wu Yumin, the highest cultivation level of the others was Inquiry Tao Realm, easily stripping them of their Tao Palace marks. Thus, as the divine soil merciful hand slammed into the already ruined Jingxi city, the E-tribe cultivators within remained unscathed, but all Tao Palace experts were mercilessly torn asunder by the attack. Jingxi city housed only 3 surviving Inquiry Tao Realm Tao Palace experts. Deliberately arranged by Xiang Beifei, he realized Gu Hengzi had cultivated 3 Tao stones Tao embryos, allowing him to control Gu Hengzi's mind, sparing Gu Hengzi to serve as an internal agent for the Tao Palace. Keeping 2 other Inquiry Tao Realm experts was mainly to avert suspicion that might arise if only Gu Hengzi survived, potentially branding him a human race spy, but with 2 others living, the suspicion wouldn't solely fall on Gu Hengzi. The remaining 51 Immortal Realm Tao Palace experts, along with another Inquiry Tao Realm expert, perished under the divine soil merciful hand. Shua! 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 Xiaohe moved swiftly through the gathering, and the Tao Palace experts hit by the divine soil merciful hand had their souls collected by him without exception. A substantial gain of spiritual power crystals. Xiang Beifei was utterly ruthless against Tao Palace experts. 2 people were severely injured by the divine soil merciful hand. Wu Kashi's spirit surged. When he unleashed the divine soil merciful hand, the entire formation spun with it. Its coverage extended beyond the darkness of the Candle Dragon Eye, directly tied to him. Unaware of the inner workings within, he felt an obstruction within the darkness. With millennia of battle experience, he analyzed this obstruction, unequivocally confirming that 2 individuals were struck. Moreover, they were 2 Mid-Ascension Realm experts. Excellent! 2 Mid-Ascension Realm human race infiltrators caught completely. Wu Kashi's spirit surged again, unleashing another palm strike, forcefully directing it once more into the darkness. Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong, already injured by the first strike, lost half their lives, never anticipating another strike from the divine soil merciful hand. 2 hits with late ascension realm power on them rendered them instantly combat ineffective. Wu Kashi! Stop! Fool! It's us! Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong roared furiously, almost hating Wu Kashi to death. But, in the Candle Dragon Eye, all perception was gone, rendering them incapable of conveying any sound to Wu Kashi. Wu Kashi felt joyful again. Great, great. These two human race scoundrels should be mostly dead now. Ha ha ha. Such a grand achievement. Wu Kashi felt an overwhelming surge in his excitement, having caught two Ascension Realm human race experts. The Dao Palace wanted to completely eradicate the human race, naturally starting with the strongest among them. If they could capture the two mid-stage Ascension human warriors alive, it would be a great merit in the Dao Palace, and anyone involved would receive a huge reward. Wu Kashi was naturally thrilled upon realizing that his Divine Soil Merciful Hand had consecutively struck two mid-stage Ascension Masters. Judging from the situation earlier, those two masters should have been severely injured and unable to resist anymore. Then let me strike the third hand and completely cripple them. This time, Wu Kashi planned to deploy his Divine Soil Merciful Hand in a net-like fashion, delivering two strikes, one to the left and one to the right, in an encircling form. He wanted to capture the human warriors alive. Wu Kashi, stop! Trapped in the darkness, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were both shocked and furious, having been struck twice and suffering tremendous soul damage that severely harmed their foundation, leaving them with no strength to resist. They were most afraid that Wu Kashi would deliver a third strike and blast them to death. However, they were too severely injured to even flee, and were blown away, unable to know where their opponent was in the darkness. But just at this moment, buzz! The sky suddenly brightened. The darkness seemed to be dispelled in an instant, and everyone could see clearly. Ahead lay ruins, and everyone was in the air, panicking and crowding together, but no one was seriously harmed. Many couldn't help but look up to the sky, where two emaciated auras lingered. It was the heavily injured Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong. In the entire sky, only they were left, almost on the verge of destruction, and there was no third person. Wu Yumin, now a mere frail soul, laboriously raised his head, wanting to see who the human cultivator he had just fought was. But when he glanced around, he suddenly saw a similarly weakened Wu Qiuhong. How did she get hurt? An idea suddenly flashed through Wu Yumin's mind amid his shock and anger. Could it be that the mid-stage ascendant warrior I fought in the darkness earlier wasn't from the human race but was actually Wu Qiuhong? On the other side, Wu Qiuhong was completely stunned, with the same thoughts racing through her mind as Wu Yumin. Was the fierce fighter I tangled with just now actually Wu Yumin? They looked around again at their surroundings. There wasn't a supposed human master around, not a single figure, not even any inquiring Dao stage masters attacking them. Based on their combat experiences over many years and the positioning in the void, they increasingly became certain. Earlier in the darkness, they were actually fighting each other. They were actually hitting themselves. Upon realizing this, both felt blood gushing in their chests, almost choking them to death. How could this be possible? Both Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were utterly shocked. To kill the opponent, their attacks were very ruthless, but who would have thought they were fighting each other the whole time? Not only that, they were almost blasted dead by their own Divine Soil Merciful Hand. Shocked, they couldn't understand why two people who knew each other so well failed to recognize each other's combat style. Above, Wu Kashi's Divine Soil Merciful Hand was also about to strike Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong again. When he finally saw clearly the two figures in front of him, he was stunned and quickly stopped the Divine Soil Merciful Hand. What are you doing? How did you end up so injured? Wu Kashi never expected that when the darkness cleared, he wouldn't see human masters but his own two companions, who seemed to be injured. How did they end up so injured? Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were furious when they heard Wu Kashi's words. How could you not know how we got injured, you damn fool? If not for your idiotic 2 consecutive strikes of Divine Soil Merciful Hand, would I be this seriously hurt? But Wu Kashi indeed had no idea because under normal circumstances, the Divine Soil Merciful Hand wouldn't harm their own. So his first reaction was that the injuries of these two were not caused by him, but by human mid-stage Ascension Masters. Human Masters can actually hurt Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong. Damn it! Don't worry. I'll find the culprit for you. Wu Kashi searched everywhere for traces of human mid-stage Ascension Masters, now that his companions were injured and the human masters were missing. It's highly likely they had hidden, If he rushed to rescue, he might fall into a trap himself. He had to first find those two human masters. But just as he was searching, swish, the sky suddenly darkened again. The terrifying and eerie darkness enveloped everyone once more, blocking all perception. "Now's the time," Xiang Beifei shouted in a low voice. Earlier, due to the divine soil merciful hands attacks, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were blown away from their positions, and Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo lost perception of the two Dao Palace masters in the darkness. So he had to let the sky brighten to confirm their positions. Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo were highly in sync, as Xiang Beifei had made the plan clear from the start, and Li Qianluo was intelligent, making them cooperate seamlessly in the darkness. Their objective was very clear. They needed to confirm their targets during the interplay of darkness and light. Xiang Beifei charged towards Wu Yumin, while Li Qianluo attacked Wu Qiuhong. Everyone was once again enveloped by the darkness. Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong both felt their hearts tighten, because they didn't know the situation. Wu Kashi then shouted in a deep voice, once again gathering the divine soil merciful hand, ready to strike several more times at that darkness. But the speed of Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo was incredibly fast. Wu Qiuhong and Wu Yumin were completely unable to resist, and no one came to their rescue. Before they could gather their spiritual power, the attack of Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo had already landed on their souls. Boom! Boom! The souls of Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were torn apart and subsequently taken away. Two mid-junior Ascension Realm domain-level elders of the Dao Palace, dead. Whoosh! Whoosh! After killing the two domain-level elders, Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo used the darkness for camouflage, turned their bodies, and flew toward their respective positions, accurately colliding in midair. "Let's go!" Xiang Beifei grabbed Li Qianluo's hand and swiftly headed upward. At this time, the divine soil merciful hand had already descended, but because Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo bore the marks of the Dao Palace, the powerful hand was nullified against them, and they left it behind. As for the so-called formation, it posed no resistance. They exited the same way they entered, disappearing into the void while Wu Kashi was still reacting. The darkness disappeared again. Daylight returned. Everything returned to calm. But when Wu Kashi looked at Jingxi City, he was completely stupefied. At this moment, the entire city was in ruins, shattered into various pieces of breath soil sand. All buildings were destroyed, and many cultivators were hiding in corners like frightened, innocent little birds trembling. The confrontation between the two Ascension Realm auras had truly terrified them. The Ascension Realm, something they rarely encountered, and unexpectedly, two suddenly appeared and were fighting. Their terrifying power almost scared them out of their wits. Where are Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong? Wu Kashi's divine sense swiftly searched throughout the entire city. Yet despite searching for a long time, he was horrified to find that it seemed the whole city had only 3 inquiring Dao Masters left, while the rest of the Dao Palace Masters were missing, as if they had vanished into thin air. This included 2 domain-level elders and the human boy. Xiang Beifei and Li Qianluo continued flying thousands of miles in the void before they stopped. They were far enough from Jingxi City, no longer needing to worry. Ha ha! Divine soil merciful hand. They schemed for so long, but didn't expect to be counter-schemed by us. Li Qianluo laughed so hard her eyes became mere slits. Xiang Beifei also breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, he was very cautious facing 3 Ascension Realm Masters, but luckily they were in the dark. Dao Palace was in the light, and they smoothly rescued Chu Shi. Xiaohe, hands on hips, looked at the barely conscious Chu Shi, and said, "This unlucky kid, running around disobediently, will get his butt smacked later." Xiang Beifei carefully checked the condition of Chu Shi, who still had various Dao Palace-marked formations all over him. Even the blood was filled with paralytic toxins, and had been inscribed with Dao Palace formations. Just as he injected spiritual power into Chu Shi suddenly let out a painful wail, his body uncontrollably convulsing, his blood being drawn out. Those formations immediately activated, coalescing into a murderous assault aimed at Xiang Beifei. Truly ruthless, to place such formations on a 10-year-old child. Fortunately, Xiang Beifei was prepared. He instantly struck out a brick, hitting Chu Shi, causing golden formation patterns to surge, suppressing the toxic formations within Chu Shi. Li Qianluo touched Chu Shi's forehead and said, "He looks like he has been through a lot of suffering, truly heart-wrenching." "Ha!" Xiang Beifei suddenly looked at Li Qianluo in surprise. "What's wrong? Are you not going to save him?" Li Qianluo urged. Xiang Beifei felt puzzled. The golden formation patterns from the 5 pieces of stone were extremely peculiar. Though someone with greater power than Xiang Beifei could break free from its restraints, like how Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong could resist them, the golden patterns would still attempt to attach to them. But at this moment, Chu Shi was covered in golden patterns. Yet as Li Qianluo held Chu Shi's forehead, none attempted to crawl onto her. "You're not afraid of these golden patterns?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Oh, you mean these? I'm not afraid." Li Qianluo chuckled as she knocked the grayish brick, acting unaffected. Xiaohei also found it strange. "But last time at Bone Mountain Desert Stone Cave, you seemed very wary?" "That's because last time when I went playing, I made a Dao sheath with Shunli myself." Li Qianluo blinked, speaking with a mischievous tone. Xiang Beifei thoughtfully glanced at Li Qianluo, but did not say more, and began using Return to the Original State to rescue Chu Shi. He slowly cut down all the trap formations placed inside Chu Shi by the Dao Palace. The more he reverted, the heavier his mood became. Because Chu Shi had been left with various sinister trap formations, some even included self-destructive methods, meaning Chu Shi was essentially a bomb. According to the power of the formations, they were enough to threaten an inquiring Dao master. Had Xiang Beifei not possessed the 5 pieces of stone, it might have been impossible to suppress this self-destructive capability. "Chu Shi has suffered too much. His life is in grave danger. We might need to halt for a few days." Xiang Beifei did not rush back, because Chu Shi's life couldn't wait. He had to heal him quickly and stabilize those injuries. The Dao Palace's methods were too vicious. Even though Xiang Beifei had returned to the original state, it would still take considerable time. "As long as he survives," Li Qianluo said. "By the way, while I'm healing, you and Xiaohei have some tasks to undertake." Xiang Beifei said. "Sure. What task?" Li Qianluo eagerly asked. The affair in Jingxi City left Dao Palace utterly furious. This time they dispatched 3 Ascension Realm Masters, nearly 10 inquiring Dao Masters, dozens of Immortal Realm Masters, all to guard a human boy, intending to capture the rescuing human masters entirely. Unexpectedly, they themselves suffered heavy losses. All the Immortal Realm Masters vanished into thin air, and most important of all, Wu Yumin and Wu Qiuhong were killed. This event was quite a sensation for the Dao Palace. But over the next 2 days, several news spread almost everywhere with cultivators in Edge Corner airspace. The mystery of Dao Stone upgrades again. Allegedly an expert from the ancestral Dao realm, 2 Dao Palace Ascension Realm Masters fought over the 4th Dao Stone, causing internal conflict, battling in Jingxi City, destroying the entire city. 2 Dao Palace Ascension Realm Elders fought internally, killed each other, and ultimately chose mutual destruction. No one knew who spread these messages, but Dao Palace Ascension Realm Masters broke the rules for the Dao Stone, fiercely battled within the city, killed each other, causing numerous casualties, leaving many races shocked. Dao Palace set all kinds of rules for us, and yet they led by example in breaking them? Damn it! Why should we still follow their rules? No one ever thought that the elder representing Dao Palace's authority would commit such conduct. Usually, they were extremely cautious, afraid of being reckless within cities, yet Dao Palace itself had such incidents, causing much dissatisfaction among various races. Dao Palace higher-ups were even more furious hearing these words. Who's spreading these rumors? The Dao Palace leadership was extremely angry. Originally, they had lost many masters, let mysterious masters rescue them, and yet the opponent gained the high ground in propaganda, spreading rumors everywhere, causing them to suffer without being able to retaliate. They wanted to suppress this news but failed. No one knew why these rumors seemed to have wings and had spread everywhere. even rooting deeply in everyone's minds. And at this moment, the fifth Tao stone appeared. This time, the appearance of the Tao stone caused unprecedented shock, because it has now been confirmed the Tao stone was left by experts from the ancestral Tao realm.